Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to another weekend edition of Maddie's Rap with author and storyteller Matt D. Talford. Maddie's Rap Live. What am I talking about, y'all? Maddie's Rap Live. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Who we got in the chat tonight, y'all? We got Hot Shot in the house. We got Just Because in the house. All right. Hey, listen, y'all do me a favor. I've been switching microphones in here. So y'all give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. Let me know if you guys can hear me, okay? How's everybody doing out there tonight? How's everybody doing? Y'all, let me tell you something. This has been a crazy week. It has been a crazy week. It's been a crazy January. I mean, we got all kind of stuff happening and current events that I'm not going to touch on tonight. Okay, good, good, good. Thank you, Hot Shot. Thank you. We got all sorts of things that are happening in current events around the world that I'm not going to touch on tonight because I want to keep this one about astrology and helping you guys identify your secret superpower. Okay, one of them. There are many superpowers that a lot of us have that we're not even aware of. But I wanted to take tonight to illustrate to you guys that things that are called debilitations in planets or planetary placements are not necessarily debilitations. Okay, let me pull up a passage of scripture for you guys here as we're getting started. And guys, you know the rules, not really rules, but they help me out. On your way in, if you would not mind doing so, please tap that like button because in doing so, you alert more people to the fact that we are live tonight. Okay, so let me switch the lighting up a little bit, give me a little bit more light. Yeah, so I want to kind of start things off with a passage of scripture that's going to speak to what we're just talking about here tonight. But let me find it because I had it open and now I don't. So give me a second, family, while I'm pulling that up. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. Okay, this one's going to come from Second Corinthians. Okay, all right. So let me again. I want to talk about debilitated planets because this is something that I've found fascinating. Y'all know that I've been studying astrology now for started in January of 2021. So it's been 4 years that I've been on this journey, and what a ride it has been. For those of you who understand that this isn't our first rodeo, this isn't our first time on planet Earth. You understand that things that we gravitate towards, things that we're drawn to, things that we tend to be good at are skills that we had in previous incarnations. Okay. So I'm well aware of the facts just in doing my own meditations and doing some past life regressions and things of that nature, doing guided higher self meditations and things of that nature. You tap in and you figure out where you've been before and what you've done before or what you actually might be doing in an alternate reality. Y'all, these things are real. If by now, here in this age of Aquarius, which is the age of knowing, you still are drinking the Kool-Aid that they taught us through K-12. In K-12, if you're in the United States, you know what that means. If you're in a foreign country, that means early school, early education through teenage education. Okay. I don't know what you guys call it in other countries or wherever you might be watching me from around the world. But in the United States, it's K through 12. And that stands for kindergarten through the 12th grade, which is the final grade of grade school. And then from there, you go on to your higher learning, college, university, tech school, whatever. Okay. But if we're still drinking the Kool-Aid that they taught us that, hey, you know what, between K-12 and church, which or organized religion, I should say. I shouldn't say church because not everybody not everybody practices Christianity. For some people, it's Islam. For some people, it is Judaism. And for other people, it is some of the Eastern religions. But anyway, a lot of these Western religions, all of them, if you will, sort of lean to people living one time. All right. You live one time and then you spend eternity somewhere else. Okay. Someplace hot or someplace comfortable. Right. But that does not explain how we have memories of things that we've done before or skill sets that you see in children that are extremely young that can do things that have taken other people decades to master. And you see some of these children that are not even a decade old mastering different things, okay, or having knowledge of things. I remember once watching an episode of like Nightline or something like that, where they were talking to this family where they had a little small boy on there that his grandfather took him to a World War II museum, and he was showing him the Corsair fighter plane. It was a turboprop fighter plane. These weren't no jet. They weren't jets in World War II. We didn't have them. The Germans had them toward the end of World War II. But the Corsair was a very powerful single engine turboprop or turbo propeller fighter plane that served in the Pacific Theater. And this little boy, he comes in there and he's telling his grandfather all of these details about this plane. He's telling him the avionics and all of this other stuff. And this little boy wasn't even old enough to read. He wasn't even old enough to know how to read yet. If he was, anything I mean, when I'm talking about reading, I'm talking about like advanced things where you would have seen explanations like this, not the Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat, that sort of thing. And they also said that when he was a little boy, he would go into these fits of having this recurring nightmare where he's lying on his back and kicking, and he was like he was kicking the canopy off of a plane that had gone down into the ocean, and he needed to eject from it, but he couldn't get the canopy off. So through some series of, and this was years ago I saw this, y'all, so I apologize if the details are sketchy, but through some series of what do you call it? Not counseling, but just talking with a psychiatrist and people that were skilled in doing past life regressions and that sort of thing. They found out that the little boy was an aircraft carrier fighter pilot in World War II, serving in the Pacific, and that he had died. His plane went down, and he was trying to kick the canopy off of the plane to get out of the cockpit before it filled with water, and he wasn't able to do so. And he, basically woke up, and he's in a, he's a little baby again. It's kind of how these things work. So that in between life stuff gets forgotten unless somebody can tap into it. If you got a skilled hypnotherapist that can help you tap into it. Anyway, y'all, I'm getting way off topic. Well, you know what? It is a Friday night, and I tend to take people around the block to get into the house next door. Let's get back on this astrology stuff. The point I was trying to make is, if you are still believing that you've been here one time and all of this stuff, then go do some research. Let me say that. Go do some research. So I say all of that to say that, this isn't my first rodeo with astrology. So 4 years in, I've gotten some great compliments and rave reviews from people that have gone to a number of other astrologers that are seasoned, that have been doing personal readings and that sort of thing for several decades. And these people have told me, wow, the things you've broken down to me, nobody's ever said it to me like that, but it fully resonates, that sort of thing. So I'm right back to where we are, which leads me to tonight. Debilitated planets in the natal chart. Why they call them debilitated, I do not know, but I'm going to tell you why they're not debilitated, and I'm going to start that off with a passage of scripture. So Fanny Legrand says she saw that story. Thank you for the clarification, or thank you for the clarification ain't the word, y'all, but thank you, Fanny. Thank you for the confirmation. Thank you, because I knew I wasn't crazy. That was something I saw years ago, so thank you for chiming in there, Fanny. Hot Shot, thank you again for being here. Just Because, thank you for being here. Thank you guys for being here that are here watching tonight. Now, let me begin with a passage of scripture, because this, y'all know what I do over here. I don't even have to explain it anymore. If you are new, then one of the things I do on this channel, one of my primary goals for this channel, is to illustrate how the Bible, the ancient text from which it was derived, are spiritual in nature and not religious. These writings were hijacked by the religious establishment, doctored, and refashioned into the doctrine of control. Matt D. Talford is here to put things back in order. That's what I'm here for. Okay. So, and that's in my natal chart too, by the way, but that's a story for another day. So let's see. We got Jojo Mack in the house. He said, I thought Jesus was saying he was coming back in John 16 as the advocate. This made me think of reincarnation. That's a good point. That's a good point, Jojo. And I won't even get into some of the other reincarnation scriptures, because I want to keep this about the subject matter tonight so we can get on and get off. So let me begin with a passage of scripture, and I'm going to show you guys how this applies to what we're doing tonight. This one is going to come from the book of 2 Corinthians. So let me go there now. I'll open it up, and then I'll share it to the screen. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Okay. I'm going to go to 2 Corinthians chapter 12, and I'm going to begin at verse 7 and go through verse 9. You know what? Actually, yeah, I'm going to go through. Wait a second. Hang on. Yeah, actually, let me go through verse 10. Let me go through verse 10. Now, keep in mind that this scripture does reference Christ, Christ, The way that I'm going to explain it, I am not referring to the man, but I'm referring to the elevated state of consciousness. Okay. And for those of y'all who have not heard of it, look up Christ consciousness. Okay. It's a thing. It is a thing. So now, and that's not to say that I don't believe that the man lived, because there's a lot of arguments about that today. I'm not on that side of he was made up, like people like Billy Carson and other people out there say, oh yeah, no, this guy never existed. There are a number of spiritual teachers out there that say he didn't exist, and that story, his story, was retold in a bunch of other different cultures. I am not going to sit here and argue that there weren't other messiahs in different cultures. Okay, the world is too large for one human, one person, one divine being in human form to basically reach everybody. So that divine being in human form, of course, Matt is going to believe that he or she, depending on which form they came in, existed in other cultures and other regions. So that basically shoots a hole in that balloon that says that Christianity is the way, the truth, and the light, and anybody who's not a practicing Christian is on their way to hell in a handbasket. Matt don't jive with that. But Matt also does not jive with the narrative that says this man never existed. He was prophesied in the Old Testament, and I eat, chew, swallow the entire scripture. Okay, I digest it, I break it down. He was foretold in the Old Testament and came in the New Testament, showed up in the New Testament. So anyway, I'm not going to get into an argument or debate about that tonight. But other people probably should have done their homework, and I won't name them. They probably should have done their homework before they got in the ring with somebody that was seasoned in the text. But anyway, so just wanted to say that, wanted to get that out there. When you hear me or watch me read the scripture that I'm about to share to the screen and read Christ, understand that Matthew is presenting this in terms of the state of consciousness, the same state of consciousness that he was teaching his disciples, aka students, how to tap into. Okay, now now that I got that out of the way, let me bring this up on the screen. And again, thank y'all for being here tonight. My goal for tonight. Here's let me tell you guys what the goal is. The goal. Hang on a second. All right, I wanted to switch that up. Screen sharing canceled. Yeah, I got that. The goal for tonight, family, is for you to walk away from this. If you have one of these placements that I'm going to go through tonight, and I'm going to go through the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. I'm not getting into Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, because those are generational planets where that sign, you'll be lucky to see that sign change one time in your lifetime. So I'm not going to deal with those. I'm going to deal with the ones where you're going to see those signs change in your lifetime. And that is, the sun sign changes once a year. The moon sign changes every couple of days, every 2.5 days. All right. The Mercury sign, that changes. I don't remember what the actual number of months is or whatever, or days or weeks that the Mercury sign changes. But we got Mercury, and then Venus takes a little bit longer. Then Mars takes a little bit longer. Then Jupiter takes a little bit longer. And then Saturn, of course, takes a little bit longer than all of those. So anyway, those will be the planets that I'm dealing with tonight. And if my goal is, again, if you have one of these, what are considered to be debilitated placements, I want you to leave here feeling empowered with the knowledge that you actually were gifted. You were gifted with a placement that others that don't have that placement could not carry. If you got one of these placements, you're actually special. It makes you special. Okay. All right. So now let me go ahead and bring this. I gave y'all a long intro. Let me get this up on the screen. All righty. Here we go. All right. So this again comes from 2 Corinthians. And for those of you who are new to me, I do read from the King James Version. Sometimes I will cross-reference or tap into other translations, but my preferred is the one I grew up with, and that is the King James Version. So here we go. So if you have another version and you want to read along from yours, please feel free to open up your app and read along. This comes from 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. We're going to begin at verse 7 and read through verse 10. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord, or the Most High, three times, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. The power of being in that elevated state of consciousness may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, people talking about you, okay, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. Okay. But the part I want you to focus on is the red writing in verse 9. My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. The strength of being in that elevated, the strength that comes from being in that elevated state of consciousness is made perfect in weakness. Who says you're weak? All right. Who says you're weak? Now, so let's go through these really quick, family. If you got one of these placements, then you're considered to be debilitated. And I can go through them, but I want to give you guys something to look at on the screen. So I'll bring up a couple of references that you guys can kind of just read along. And if you guys want, I can copy the link and put it into the description box. Okay. So I'll be happy to do that for you guys. Now, these placements again, I'll read through them first, and then I'll go into them in detail. If your sun is in the sign of Libra, in other words, you're a Libra sun, and I'm talking now, this may also apply to Vedic astrology, but y'all know I do tropical over here. I'm tropical / Western. My hat's off to the people who do sidereal astrology, also known as Vedic, also known as Eastern. I tip my hat to you. You have a passion for it. You were sent here to do that because you have an audience for it. I'm a Western guy / tropical. I have an audience for what the version of astrology that I find to be more useful from a practical standpoint. Vedic / sidereal, I love it, especially for when I'm tapping into people like, or when I'm tuning in rather, to people like Joni Patri and Sylvia Suryodia, to name two of them. I like to tap in and see what they're saying is going to happen. What is the forecast on the world stage? What is going to happen in this country, that country, whatever? What do they see coming based on the Vedic astrological transits? That's the stuff I like to watch others for. I don't like to get into the Vedic transits too much. I prefer to deal with the more practical nature of tropical / Western astrology, because most of the people that I know, that I talk to, most of the people we see around here on a daily basis, they want to know, how do I know who I am and how I best operate? And for me, that is the tropical / Western. Tropical / Western, I think, is more of your masculine energy, more of your physical energy, more of your earth realm energy. And then for me, the sidereal / Vedic is more of your divine feminine energy, your higher self nature, your spiritual energy, okay? Even to a degree, your past life energy. Now, you can pick up past life info from Western and tropical as well, but it's way more detailed on the Eastern / Vedic / sidereal side. So if you care about that, you care about tapping into your past life and trying to connect the dots into your current life, go that, by all means, go Vedic / sidereal. Now, I'm able to look at your Western chart and deduce enough for you that has to deal with your day-to-day stuff. Okay, what do I have going on in my life right now? Why is this thing happening? I can actually find that by looking at your tropical chart. There aren't a lot of people that do it that way. They're more into the horoscope type stuff, whatever. But anyway, enough of that. I'm dealing with tropical, but I from what I've studied before I got on here, y'all, and just looking at my notes and going over things, these also apply for Vedic. So take it and put it where it fits. Okay. Now, if you are a sun in Libra, that is considered a debilitated position. It is said that the sun is in fall. It's in its fall in the sign of Libra. It's exalted in the sign of Aries. Okay. Now, that's your sun. If you're a Libra sun, the book says you have a debilitated sun placement. I'm gonna tell you why that's not the case in a minute. Okay. I'm gonna tell you why that's a superpower in just a minute. If you have a moon in Scorpio, that is considered, the book says you have a debilitated moon. The book says that is a debilitated emotional / moon placement. The moon is the governor of the emotions, okay? The sun is the governor of your everyday activities, your vitality, your core vitality. The moon is the governor of the emotions, okay? So it is said if you have a moon in Scorpio, that is a debilitated position. By the end of the evening, you're going to understand why that is a superpower. Now, my saying all of this, folks, before I go any further, in my saying all of this, I want you to understand that with these so-called debilitated placements that I'm calling superpowers, you have to do something to activate them. You have to work to activate them. The exalted planets, they are powerful. They put you in a powerful position that you don't have to do any work for. You came here equipped with it. That debilitated one, that's got some safety seals on it that you have to educate yourself on, open those safety seals to break that energy open, and then you are in superpower mode. In other words, though they say that, for example, the sun is exalted in the sign of Aries and debilitated in the sign of Libra, I'm here to tell you that if you tap in properly and understand just how powerful that debilitated Libra placement is, then once you tap into it, it can make you even more exalted than that Aries. Where's the evidence? It's right here. We just went over it. Where's the evidence of that, Matt? It's right here. 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. So where mankind tells you you're weak, if you tap into that higher state of consciousness, you can figure out just how wrong they are and just how powerful that perceived state of weakness is. All right. So now, what's up, Just Because? She says she's a Libra sun. Okay. We're gonna listen, you're gonna leave here feeling empowered. Okay. You're gonna leave here feeling empowered. So let me review really quick before I go forward. If you are a sun in Libra, that is considered to be a debilitated placement. If you are a moon in Scorpio, that is considered to be a debilitated placement. What's up, Shalom, Capri 10? Shalom. All right. Mercury. If your Mercury sign is in Pisces, you are considered to have a debilitated Pisces or debilitated Mercury placement. Mercury is the governor of our communication, how we speak, how we express ourselves, how we think, and actually how we learn. How we learn as well. All of that is covered by Mercury. If your Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, it is said that that is a weakness. It is a debilitation. Sitting opposite that is Mercury in Virgo. That is considered to be a strength. That is considered to be an exalted position. Also, Mercury is at home in the sign of Virgo. There are two home signs for Mercury, and those are Gemini and Virgo. But in this case, we're looking at what sits opposite Pisces. So if Pisces is considered debilitated, then Mercury in Virgo is considered to be exalted. I'm not dealing with the exaltations tonight because I've already told you those are natural born strengths and talents. The ones that are said to be weaknesses, I'm going to show you how that strength is made perfect in what man calls weakness. So if you have a Mercury in the sign of Pisces, that is considered to be a weakness. That is considered to be a debilitated placement. I'm going to get into why in just a moment. Next up, Venus. If you have a Venus in the sign of Virgo, that is said to be a debilitated placement. That is said to be a weak placement. Sitting opposite is Venus in Pisces. That is considered to be an exalted position. Now, I know at least one person who watches me that knows somebody who is a Venus in Pisces, and she would tell you that that's a weakness. But we're not going to get into that tonight. You know who you are if you're watching me, okay? So laugh with me. You know who you are. You know who you are. I don't see you in the chat, so you're probably going to be watching this on demand. But laugh with me. Laugh with me when you see this, okay? Now, so again, if you are a Venus in the sign of Virgo, that is considered to be a weakness. It is considered to be a debilitated position. I'm going to show you by the end of this video how that is a superpower. What is Venus? Venus is the ruler, the governor of relationships and partnerships, okay? It is the governor of relationships and partnerships. So, Venus in Virgo, a weakness according to the book. The book says you have a debilitated placement with regards to your partnerships if your Venus sign is Virgo. Next up, Mars. If your Mars sign is in the sign of Cancer, that is said to be a debilitation. Sitting opposite is Mars in Capricorn. Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn. We're not talking about the exaltations. If you're Mars in Capricorn, God bless you. You came here with some power. You probably needed it. If you're a Mars in Cancer, that is considered to be a debilitation. But what does the scripture say in 2 Corinthians 12:9? My strength is made perfect in weakness. So I'm going to show you how that weakness is actually a strength. This is the info they didn't want y'all to know. We're in the age of Aquarius now where you can know. All right. You're going to come away from here feeling like, yeah. All right. Even the ladies, you might even get some bass and you might say, yeah. Y'all, I'm tripping. Let me stop. So again, if your Mars is in the sign of Cancer, that is considered to be a debilitated placement. I'm going to show you why that's a superpower and why you can do something none of the other Mars signs can do. Next up, Jupiter. Jupiter, the rich daddy of the zodiac. If your Jupiter is in the sign of Capricorn, that is considered to be a debilitated placement. I wonder why. I know why. I know why they're considering it to be a debilitated placement. I'm going to show you how that is actually a gift and a superpower. Okay. Jupiter. What is Jupiter? Jupiter is the benefic. Jupiter is the expander. Jupiter is that placement that is where your gifts lie. Your gifts. These are gifts we're giving you. The scripture says gifts come without repentance. I'm not sorry for giving you this gift. Take it, use it to its fullest extent. If you don't use it, I ain't going to say you lose it. That's some other mankind stuff, right? But if you have this placement and you're not using it, then that's on you, because it's basically like a free pass to any restaurant. If you want to pay money, knock yourself out. But here's a free pass that will allow you to eat at any restaurant. Just an example of what Jupiter energy is like, okay? Depends on the sign, depends on the house, and some other stuff, degrees and all of the stuff that I won't get into tonight. So again, Jupiter being the benefic, Jupiter the expander, Jupiter the planet of abundance, Jupiter the planet of so-called the luck, Jupiter the giver of gifts. It is considered exalted in the sign of Cancer. It is considered to be debilitated in the sign of Capricorn. So if you're a Jupiter in Capricorn, you're going to get something out of this tonight. Next up and final is Saturn. If you have a Saturn in the sign of Aries, that is considered to be a debilitated placement. Sitting opposite of Saturn and Aries is Saturn in Libra. Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra. It doesn't. Saturn, everybody knows Saturn is the heavy planet. It is the planet of karmic lessons. It is the planet of you're not getting the gifts that are in whatever house you have Saturn in until you've done your homework and your chores. So if Jupiter is the rich daddy, Saturn is the stern mother. Yeah, Saturn got money too, and she can get you anything you want too. But where Jupiter's just going to give it to you, Saturn's going to make you work for it. Okay? That's Saturn energy. If your Saturn is in the sign of Aries, it is considered to be debilitated. Opposite is Saturn in Libra. It doesn't get any easier than that. Saturn loves being in the sign of Libra. But on the flip side, if that Saturn is in Aries, that is considered to be a weakness and a debilitation. By the end of the night, you're going to learn why that is a gift. Okay? So that is all of them. Fanny said, I'm a Mars and Cap working on getting my strength back. I heard that, Fanny. Thank you. Rary Verez says, if your sun is in a higher degree and Mars is 4 degrees behind, is that debilitated? Is that burned? Rary, I'm dealing with the high level. I'm not getting into the degrees. I have read about the different degrees and, how it changes. The energy changes based on a degree. I just want to deal with the sign and the planet. That's all I'm dealing with tonight. But that's a great point. Anybody that wants to look further into it and see how it varies based on a degree, that was not the scope for tonight's video. But thank you for adding that, Rary. Thank you so much. Now, I've given you guys what those planets were, what those placements were. Sun in Libra, Moon in Scorpio. And to your point, Rary, depending on the planet, you've got more wiggle room with some degrees. In other words, it's only debilitated up to a small number of degrees. But then there are other ones that are debilitated up into the 20th something degree. So that's why I didn't want to get into that, because that's going to open up a new whole line of questioning. And I didn't want to go that deep into this one. So again, you guys are welcome to look that up if you so care to. And some of the stuff I say tonight may resonate with you. Some of it may not. But this is to help you unlock your superpower. That's the goal of tonight's video, is to help you realize that you are not debilitated at all, but you're actually special. Okay. So now let me begin with the sun in Libra. All right. going to begin with the sun in Libra. I'm going to read from a couple of these different. I got a couple of references up here, and I'm going to take a look at these for you guys, and then I'm going to give you my take on it. Okay, I'm going to read what the book says, why the book says is debilitation, and then I'm going to give you some basic information, pros and cons, and then I'm going to give you Matt's take on it, because none of the pros or cons are going to tell you, hey, this is a superpower, this is why it's a superpower. It'll tell you, you can look at it and say, okay, this con obviously is a weakness. But how we tie that together and how I illustrate to you that you're a walking superpower, that's the part I'm going to add in. So now let's get with the sun. Let me bring this up. Hopefully you guys can see this on the screen. But I'm just going to read some of this stuff. I don't want to get too much into the exaltation. I want to just deal with the debilitations. And guys, I'm reading from clickastro.com for anybody who's curious, because sometimes you guys want to know which references I'm using. So let me do this. Hold on. I got another question there before I get started. KTS 101 Dicing, how are you tonight? Thank you for joining. Says, how do you get the most out of your astrological sign information when you are missing information? Who's missing information? I don't understand what you mean. Can you clarify that question? How can you get the most out of your astrological sign information when you're missing information? While I'm looking this up, KTS 101 Dicing, I want you to further clarify that question, because that's a little bit broad. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. So, like, who's missing the information? Are you saying when you're missing information in general? That I don't know what you mean there. So give me a little bit more clarification. Put that in the chat for me. I'm going to jump over here. Give me a second. Let's see. All right, so let's bring this up. Thank you guys for being here tonight. All right, this comes from Click Astro. We're going to the sun first, okay? As you can see here in that first section, it says the sun is exalted in the sign of Aries. I'm going to skip on down. All right, let's see. You know what? I'll just read the whole piece. The sun is exalted in the sign of Aries, which amplifies its fiery and authoritative qualities. In the natural zodiac, Aries rules the first house, and the sun likes to be in the forefront, as it is known as the king of the zodiac. A person with an exalted sun is likely to possess strong leadership skills, vitality, and a confident personality. That's Aries energy all day. They may excel in professions that require assertiveness and self-expression. However, when the sun is debilitated in Libra, its qualities of self-expression and individuality may be challenged. In the natural zodiac wheel, Libra rules the seventh house, which is the setting place for the sun. This placement can lead to a lack of confidence, indecisiveness, and difficulty asserting oneself. The phenomenon of sun exaltation, also known as sun being in its exalted state, is regarded as a significant event in astrology. When the sun is exalted, it is believed to be in its most potent and favorable position within the zodiac. The sun represents vitality, power, and self-expression, and its exaltation intensifies these qualities. One of the key results of sun exaltation is an increase in confidence and leadership abilities. Individuals may experience a surge in self-assurance and find it easier to take charge of situations. They radiate a strong aura of authority and are likely to be respected and admired by others. Furthermore, sun exaltation can enhance overall well-being and vitality. People may feel a heightened sense of energy, motivation, enthusiasm, blah, 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 blah. Now, they're still talking about exaltation. Let me skip down to this last paragraph. Individuals with a debilitated sun may struggle with low self-esteem, a lack of self-confidence, and difficulty asserting them. They may feel a constant need for validation and may struggle to take charge of their lives. Their sense of self-worth may be diminished, leading to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Professionally, these individuals may find it challenging to establish themselves as leaders or may face obstacles in pursuing ambitious goals. They may have difficulty gaining recognition and may feel overshadowed by others in their field. All right. Now, let me switch over and read some. What's up, Tora Girl? Thank you for being here tonight. Let's see. Let me switch over and give you guys another resource here. And this one comes from astrology.com. So I hope you guys are writing down some of these resources. My goal is for you guys to get as much of the information that I have, much of the information that I have from the resources I use, so that you can be self-empowered. What we want to do with this age of Aquarius The age of Aquarius is the age of knowing. The age of Pisces is the age of believing. So as we progress into the age of Aquarius, it is important for you guys to know as much as you can, because what we don't want to do, we're getting, and I'm seeing some of this, and no disrespect to anybody that does this professionally, I tip my hat to you, because we are still in a reality where you're required to eat, okay? And to eat, you got to earn. So for now, until the age flips, and it's flipping, the wheel is starting to turn, but we're not all the way there yet. But what I would hope to see as we progress into the age of Aquarius is for people to have the ability to know without feeling like they have to go to some quote unquote expert on it. Now, it's different if you don't want to be bothered with it. That's one thing. But if you have the ability to know and the desire, then you should be able to know versus having to, because if not, what we end up doing is we end up carrying over some of that religious, patriarchal models from the age of Pisces, where it's like, I'm the authority on this. If you want to know what this is, I'm the way to God. If you want to get to God, you got to come to me. We're trying to move away from that because the kingdom of God is within you. I read that to you guys all the time. That's in two places in the scripture, but primarily Luke 17 and 20 through 21. So you guys have the ability to tap in and know. All you got it. If you desire it, that information will come to you. Okay. So I want to give you guys some of the same resources that I use. And, if you need some, I mean, obviously different people have different gifts. If you want some interpretive, intuitive capabilities, then you got to go to somebody that has those gifts of intuition. But at least you can do the groundwork yourself. So that being said, let me get over here to astrology.com. I'm going to share this to the screen. Uh-oh. All right. Let's look at some Sun and Libra traits. This is from astrology.com. Okay. Sun and Libra, significance and meaning. The element and modality, of course, is air and cardinal. Cardinals are the leaders of the zodiac, and air, that's your speakers, your thinkers, that sort of thing. So this air sits opposite the fiery sign of Aries. The fire signs are all about action. They're about action and movement and that sort of thing. The thinkers of the zodiac are your air signs. They're your thinkers, your philosophers, that sort of thing. So Libra, Sun and Libra, significance and meaning. Some positive traits of Libra suns are they're cooperative, they're fair, romantic is another one, tasteful, and thoughtful. Now, some of the negative keywords that may go with that perceived debilitation are they're averse to engaging in conflict. So in other words, another word for that is harmonizers. A lot of Libras are they're what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say demonized, but they're criticized. A lot of Libras are criticized for being what is called conflict averse here, but a harmonizer. I know Libra. I got some really close Libra friends, and they said that's the knock on them. People are always saying, "Hey, man, you're a harmonizer, whatever. I need you to take a stand on this thing right here. Why are you always trying to harmonize?" That is considered to be a weakness. I'm gonna show you guys in a minute why that's a strength. Okay, fence sitting. In other words, I just said that they're harmonizing. They don't want to take one stand over here or one stand over there. They're accused of sitting on the fence. They're known for being indecisive when it comes to some things. Sometimes they can be known for being insincere. I'm going to show you guys where that comes up, because if that's kind of in that lower vibrational range. Insincere. What is insincere? Lying. Okay, lying. I heard a phrase from one of my Virgo friends years ago, and I had never heard it before. But she said, I was out with some of my friends. This is a friend of ours that works at a restaurant, a local restaurant, and we were talking about zodiac stuff one day, and she said, "What's your sign?" Such and such. I don't want to say his name, and he said Libra. She said, "Oh, lying ass Libras," and I never heard that before. But now that I understand astrology a little bit, and knowing now that she's actually she's got a pretty powerful placement. She's a Virgo sun paired with a Cancer moon. I'm like, that's somebody you don't want to play no games with either. But anyway, she called him a lying ass Libra, and now I'm like, Virgo, is that critical nature of Virgos, or do they just know some things because they run everything through the analytics department? Okay, they pay attention to the details or whatever. Anyway, I just thought that was funny, y'all. But insincere is one of the weaknesses of Libra suns, and then they can be known for being superficial. Okay, so let's look at this write up here. Why can't we all get along? Wonders peaceful Libra. Libras embody the diplomat who seeks tact and equanimity in all their interactions. They're fairly even-tempered, so tantrums are fairly uncommon for these natives. In fact, you'll rarely see any overt shows of ill will from those with their sun in Libra. They truly value the public's perception of them and don't like to ruffle feathers unnecessarily. Social savviness is the calling card of this sweet sign. With their tendency towards sociability, these interactions will be many and their network large. Therefore, Libras can often be found in careers and associations where intermingling is the norm. In fact, one could say that they're motivated by socializing and partnership specifically. As a Venus-ruled air sign, Libra suns simply love love and frequently find themselves in flirtations and dalliances. It's there that these experts in romance truly thrive. Here's some positive traits. Those with their sun in Libra radiate charm, both internal, external, or both. Their artful approach, in conjunction with their kind and understanding nature, contributes to their general likability. Blessed by Venus herself, a Libra is likely to be well received in their many social groups. Whether male or female, they walk with beauty wherever they go, both natural and more intentional, and folks are sure to notice. It's no wonder that the average Libra has at least one or two secret admirers waiting in their wings. Furthermore, Libras love to lend a helping hand, so they are overall a little hard to hate. Now, some negative traits. Venus's darling loves to be loved and can compromise themselves excessively to be perceived as such. For this reason, also, Libra suns may avoid confrontation regardless of their displeasure with a situation. They sometimes value the appearance of peace more than its reality. Additionally, these folks have been known to be a bit waffling where decision making is concerned. Rather than depending on their own authority, they'll differ to 100 different opinions before drawing a conclusion. This, of course, slows their process significantly. With their deep desire to please everyone, interactions with Libras may leave you wondering how they really feel. Don't worry, they do too. All right. So now, let me that so you guys saw it there. Now I want to bring up something that shows you why that is actually a superpower. Give me one moment. Now, some of y'all that know me, y'all may know where I'm going with this, but Libra, as the ruler of the seventh house, naturally embodies the seven principles of Mayat. Okay, 7 and 7. Seventh house, Libra's the ruler of the seventh house. There are seven principles of Mayat, and the biggest of which is balance. Libras are represented by the scales of balance. That is their avatar, the balance scales. So, though it is considered to be a debilitated position. Why? Because it sits opposite Aries, which is the warrior. So, in other words, Aries is considered, or the sun's considered exalted in Aries because if something needs to get done, Aries is ready to do it. It's a matching. The natural sign that's ruled by the sun is Leo. So that's another fire sign. So fire and fire, they fuel each other. They feed each other. Aries is like, hey, we need to get something done. When we need to get something done, we're going. Libra is considered debilitated because they're like, well, do we really want to do it that way? Let's see what everybody thinks before we do it. Because, if we do it this way, we might make this person mad, but we do it that way, we might. That's considered a debilitation. But let me show you something. The theme that I want you guys to remember tonight, if you don't remember anything else, a debilitation is only a debilitation when you are in low vibrational energy. Let me bring up my chart for just a moment. Let me bring up my chart, family, because you already know where I'm going with this. Let me bring up my charts. All right, let's bring this up. Let's see. All right, this is a little blurry, but y'all should be able to read the right. No, let me do better than that. I can be better. Be better when you can be better, right? Be better when you can be better. All right, here we go. All right, let me bring this up for you guys and share it with you. A debilitation, remember that. A debilitation is only a debilitation when you're in low vibrational energy. I like this scale because it's simple. There are way more emotions than these. There's another scale out there with a lot more emotions on it below the midline and above the midline. I like this one because it's pretty straightforward and easy to follow. And these are good general emotions that everybody goes through at some point. There's some other stuff out there like boredom and, you know, other little things or whatever. I'm not going to deal with that one. Let's deal right here. Midline is courage. That is the bottom rung of high vibrational energy. The high vibrational ladder, courage is the bottom rung. Low vibrational ladder, pride is the top rung, and it goes all the way down to shame. So a debilitation is only a debilitation when you're down here. When you're down here. You cannot tap into that superpower aspect of these so-called debilitated placements if you're in low vibrational energy. Debilitated itself, the word itself is low vibrational, okay? Debilitated. What's on the other side of it? There's two sides to every coin, right? There's two sides to every coin. So rather than saying, well, the positive side of this debilitation coin in the sun is Aries and then the negative side is Libra. No, let's dig into that. Remember 2 Corinthians 12:9. My strength is made perfect in weakness, okay? So as long as you stay out of these low vibrational emotions, you're able to tap into the high vibrational nature of that so-called debilitation and activate that superpower. Now, that being said, let me tell you what that superpower is of Libra. Where Aries wants to go to war, and they're good at it, okay? Aries wants to spring into action. The thing that they didn't tell you about in that write-up with Aries energy is that it can also be impulsive. What does impulsive mean when it comes to sun energy? It means acting without thinking sometimes. Impulsive just says, you know what? Boom, I'm going to go do this. Impulsive can get you in trouble sometimes. Libra has the ability to take a step back and determine whether or not that is the right course of action. Now, some would call that inaction, but actually that so-called inaction could be seen as healthy hesitation. Now, let me bring up those principles of Mayat that I was talking about just a moment ago. Or did I close it? I think I did. Hang on. All right. That is not what I want. Thank y'all for being here tonight, by the way. And I'm actually going to have to speed this up because I don't want this to be a super long live. So let me move through a little bit faster. Now, 7 principles of Mayat. This comes from ICIUMsanctuary.com. ICIUMsanctuary.com. The goddess Mayat is the embodiment of the ancient Egyptian 7 principles of Mayat, which are truth, balance, order, harmony, reciprocity, propriety, and justice. Now, if you can tap into those 7 principles and exercise them judiciously, that actually makes you a little bit more powerful than that sun in Aries. And what's the other thing I always say, family? Whatever your sun sign is, that represents the head's side of the coin. Take a coin, a standard coin with a head side, tail side. If you look at astrology in that sense, then they're not 12 signs. There are 6 of them, okay? Aries and Libra are on the same axis. So the head's side is going to be the dominant energy. Aries dominant with and Aries, their non-dominant energy is going to be Libra. So they have to work to tap into the Libra energy. It's there, but it's on the tail side, so you don't see it. On the flip side, the Libra has Aries on the tail side, but they would have to flip that coin in order to tap into it. These 7 principles are powerful. Truth, the ability to understand the difference between the real and the unreal. Is Aries going to sit there and try to figure out what's real or unreal, or is it just going to go and figure that out later after the ram is knocked over whatever it perceived as a threat or what was standing in front of it? That is a power that is not present in that Aries, so to speak. Now, I know I just said it's on the tail side, but Aries don't care about that tail side. You see more of that when they get into relationships, and even then, the Aries still wants to dominate and get it their way. They have to work hard to tap into the Libra energy. It's there. They got to work hard to tap into it. That's why when they're in relationships, Aries tend to be a little bit on the softer side once they get in there with their boo thing. But it's getting to that boo thing status that you see more of that Aries, okay? Truth, the ability to understand the difference between the real and the unreal. Justice, the state in which there is equity for all persons, for all creatures, and for the planet on which all of these rely for life. Is Aries thinking about equity when it's doing what it does? A lot less than Libra is. Harmony, the state of being in which different expressions of Mother Nature's spirit, human, animals, plants, etc., move together in ways that create alignment and beauty. That Libra sun is a superpower. Aries can get you into a nuclear war. Let me just say that, since that's a lot of the scuttlebutt out there in social media and newsland right now. Even though I don't watch the news, I get enough from people sharing stuff with me to know what's going on in the world, or it'll be in the timeline for Instagram or whatever, so I know what's going on in the world. Aries energy will get you into a nuclear war. Libra energy is like, let's take a step back and see how this is going to affect everybody, the entire planet, before we make a rash decision. That is a superpower on tap, as long as they stay in that high vibrational energy. Okay? Order, a state of being in which things are arranged in ways that are uncluttered, free of excess, and clear. The ram, when he knocks over what it knocks over, it don't care what the landscape looks like. Okay? Libra energy, nah. Reciprocity. It is the reality that what goes around comes around. Reciprocity is also equal give and take. Libra energy naturally has that built in, hey, you know what? If I'm going to take, I need to give something to you too. If I'm going to give, then are we going to be balanced here? Because I can't just keep giving and I'm not getting anything in return. Aries, not there. And then, of course, propriety, which means to be and do what is right, according to the truth that all living creatures are spiritual beings and deserve to exist. Aries is the sign of the warrior. Libra is the sign of the peacemaker. It takes a lot of strength to exercise restraint. It takes a lot of strength to exercise restraint. Anybody can go to war, but can anybody say, hey, you know what? War is not the answer here. So, therefore, though the book says Libra suns are debilitated, Matt's here to say that as long as Libras are in that high vibrational emotional range, that Christ consciousness range, that 2 Corinthians 12:9 range, Libras are walking Mayat energy. That's goddess energy. And I don't care if you're male or female. Everybody's got masculine and feminine energy. I don't care what your gender is. Everybody carries 3 masculine energy zones and 3 feminine energy zones. So let's get away from that if you overly one way or the other up in this chat or watching this video. So if you are a Libra sun, heretofore, do not consider yourself to be debilitated. You have a superpower. It takes a lot of strength to exercise restraint. Aries, as powerful as they are, exercising restraint is a weakness for them. So don't let anybody tell you that the Libra sun is debilitated. All right, let's move on now to the moon. The moon in Scorpio. Woo, Lord, I know some moons in Scorpio. Scorpio moons. Let's talk about it, family. Let's talk about that moon in Scorpio. Let's close that. I don't want that. All right. Here we go. Let me bring this up on the screen. Thank you all for being here tonight. I know you could be anywhere on a Friday night doing anything, and you're hanging out with Matt, trying to learn something. And I appreciate that because I learn from you guys too. All right, moon. This again is from clickastro.com. The moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus, enhancing its nurturing and emotional qualities. Taurus don't care nothing about itself, so Taurus ain't gonna get overly emotional. Opposite that, Taurus is Scorpio, okay? Individuals with an exalted moon are often emotionally stable, caring, and possess a strong sense of security. They have an innate ability to create harmonious environments and foster emotional connections. Conversely, the moon is debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. This debilitation can result in emotional instability, heightened sensitivity, and a tendency towards jealousy or possessiveness. The moon is exalted in the zodiac sign of Taurus, which enhances its positive qualities and amplifies its nurturing, intuitive, and emotionally receptive nature. When the moon is in exaltation, individuals may experience heightened sensitivity, emotional stability, and a deep connection to their inner selves. They may also exhibit a strong sense of security and an ability to provide comfort and support to others. On the flip side, the moon is debilitated or said to be debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. In this position, the moon's energy can be challenging to express, leading to emotional intensity, volatility, and a tendency towards secrecy or emotional manipulation. Low vibrational. Remember what I said. It's only a debilitation when you are in the low vibrational emotional range. Keep that in mind. You're not going to see somebody who's high vibrational emotionally high vibrational, trying to manipulate anybody's emotions. It doesn't happen that way. Not like that. Not for the bad. Not for the bad. And remember, manipulation in and of itself is not a bad word. People treat that like it's a bad thing. Manipulation in and of itself is not a bad word. It is what is your goal? What is your goal? What is the intent of the manipulation? If you're taking some wayward children and exercising emotional manipulation to get them to come out of being wayward and do the right thing, then is manipulation bad? So we gotta wake up and start seeing the difference, y'all, and be able to apply these words how they fit. Manipulation in and of itself has always had a negative connotation, but if you are taking control of a situation and trying to turn it from bad to good, then that's a positive aspect of manipulation. Wanted to put that out there, okay? Now, but again, in this presentation, in this debilitation, that emotional manipulation is only going to come in low vibrational emotional energy. Where are my emotions right now? Okay. Individuals with a debilitated moon may struggle with mood swings, trust issues, and difficulties in managing their emotions. All right. Let's take a look at the other resource from astrology.com. All right. All right. Moon in Scorpio. When the powerful moon meets moody Scorpio, get ready for drama. Unlike Taurus, which prioritizes physical and material possessions, the most significant influence in this placement is emotions, and lots of them. Lots of them. That's a bad Trump impersonation. Scorpios want to get to the truth of the matter in any situation, no matter the cost. When the moon is in Scorpio, this can lend itself to emotional outbursts when seeking the truth. As this sign is intensely passionate and sexual, this full moon may also bring out some hot sessions in the bedroom and interest in breaking out of your comfort zones. No matter what, you're in for a wild ride. Now, let's look at some of the keywords. And by the way, the element is water and the modality is fixed. We know that water is emotions and fixed energies. The fixed modality is like, I'm not budging. This is what it is. Okay. Unlike the cardinal, which is about setting the course, leadership, and then the mutable, which is about adaptation. Okay. Positive keywords for Moon and Scorpio: devoted, focused, intuitive, sharp, and unshakable. That hardly sounds like a debilitation to me, right? Positive aspects. Negative keywords for the Moon and Scorpio: defensive, guarded, mistrustful, resentful, and unforgiving. All right. All right. Superpower, power, superpower. Let's find out. Let's talk about that for a minute. Now, I've known several Scorpio moons in my time, and I know people who are either in relationships or have family members that are Scorpio moons, and the conversation is the same. Do not tick a Scorpio moon off. I mean, people know Scorpio energy, period. Like, I got family members that are Scorpio suns. There's a difference between a Scorpio sun and Scorpio moon. Listen, the sun represents things that we see. It's daytime, it's daylight. We can see things. The moon represents that which is not seen. So if you are walking through a piece of land or an area, if you're walking through Scorpion country, would you rather walk through Scorpion country during the day, or would you rather walk through at night? Right? So these are some things that are considered, again, Scorpio moon is considered to be debilitated. One for another reason is the moon is the revealer of emotions, and Scorpio energy itself by nature is secretive. So Scorpio moon don't necessarily want its emotions discovered. Okay. So it's just not a comfortable position for the moon. It is not comfortable at all. It's just opposite the Taurus energy, which is like, whatever. Scorpio's like, nah, it's an emotional sign already. And then the moon, of course, is the governor of the emotions. But let me tell you what that's a superpower. You see, the thing with astrology that we have to remember is that it is as broad as the universe. There's so many aspects to different astrological energies. And the ones in pop culture, I think, tend to get overplayed so much that we miss some of the other things there that are there, but they don't get the same credit, the same airplay, if you will. When Matthew thinks Scorpio energy, the number one thing that comes to mind for me is alchemy and transformation. Scorpio arguably is the most powerful sign of all of the 12 zodiac signs. Scorpio can literally transmute darkness and turn it into light. But if something can be changed from darkness into light, then it can also be changed from light into darkness. Okay. So with the emotions being energy and motion, the true superpower, if you are a Scorpio moon, pay attention. Okay. Listen to what I'm about to say to you. The true superpower of a high vibrational Scorpio moon that is in that 2 Corinthians 12:9 energy. My strength is made perfect in weakness. Scorpio moon is considered debilitated. If you are a high vibrational Christ consciousness level of enlightenment, or at least if not Christ conscious, happy, joy, those areas, willingness, those high vibrational energies, then guess what you can do with your emotions? You can actually transmute the emotions of others. It's a superpower. This is why people that are, well, I won't even talk about people who have Scorpio moons. Let's talk about those of us who deal with people that have Scorpio moons. This is why they don't like to trigger Scorpio moons, because they know that a Scorpio moon can shift the emotional energy of whatever dwelling place they're in, be it a office space, a house, a social gathering, whatever. That Scorpio moon has the power to shift with their emotions. They have because Scorpio is a sign of power. Think about it. It has two ruling planets: Mars, planet of war, action, power, and then Pluto, raw power. What does Pluto do? Pluto discards the old and comes in with new. Pluto destroys that which does not work and replaces it with something that does. Pluto is the secondary ruler of Scorpio energy. Okay. So if you've got something that has that amount of raw power, people know that a Scorpio moon can change the energy and the temperature of a room. That's a superpower. But you have to be aware of your power to shift emotional energy for a collective. I'm talking about Scorpio moon energy. They can settle a room down. They can rile a room up. That is a superpower. Don't see it as a debilitation. It's only a debilitation when you are in low vibrational energy. What's the other power of Scorpio? The ability to get through the truth. So a Scorpio moon can see through the emotions of an individual better than a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising or a Scorpio Mercury or Mars or Venus even. Okay, that is a superpower. Now, if you got a Jupiter in Scorpio, that's a gift. That's something different. We'll talk about that another day. We're not even going to talk about that tonight because it's not a debilitated position. So your superpower, you are a walking ability. You are a walking transmuter if you're a Scorpio moon. Scorpio suns have that ability too, but they're more settled. Remember my analogy. You'd rather deal, if you're going to walk through a field full of scorpions, you'd rather do it during the day than during the night. Okay. So Scorpio moon. Now, sometimes I think that the moon phase under which they were born might have something to do with that too. You know, if it was were they born under a moon that was relatively illuminated, you know, a full moon or a waxing moon, or were they born under a waning moon or a new moon? Because the new moon's dark. So that's probably going to be the most well, actually, no, I'm saying that backwards, because the full illumination is the height of any type of energy. So as far as heightened energy, emotional energy, it's always going to be someone who's born under a full moon than someone who's born under a new moon. But new moon energy is more a sponge. It's more of a sponge than full moon energy. Full moon energy can't take on anymore. It's 100% illuminated. But anyway, that's getting off into the weeds. Scorpio moon. Do not let anybody tell you that is a debilitated placement. Know your power. You have the power to transmute. That is the number one power of Scorpio. I get tired of pop culture overplaying the 3-letter word that starts with S and ends in X. That's on deck. Scorpio is the sign that rules over the genitals. We know what that's about. But the number one power of Scorpio energy is its ability to transmute. So if you're a Scorpio moon, that is not a debilitation. That is a superpower. It's only a debilitation when you're in low vibrational energy. Go back and look at the chart. Okay. All right. Now, let's he said good coaching for kids. Thank you. Thank you, Jojo. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got you, KTS 101. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you so much. Let's see. Just because said would high vibrational manipulation be finesse? It depends. If you're finessing somebody for a positive reason, or if you're finessing somebody to, typically when you hear finesse, it is usually one person getting gain and the other person getting nothing in return. That's not balance. That's not Mayat energy. So if you're saying high vibrational manipulation with finesse, it depends on why you're doing it. When I hear finesse, I'm typically hearing finesse as a verb is typically, from what I've seen, low vibrational. Yo, man, let me go over here and finesse this dude out of his money, man. Hold up. I'm gonna tell him I'm gonna tell him this is real Calvin Klein, but what it is really smells like Calvin Klein. You know what I mean? It's gonna wear off 2 minutes after he sprays it on. I'm gonna spray a little bit, let him see how good it smells, and hurry up and get his money before it wears off. That's the kind of, and that's New York. That's New York from back in the day. I'm sure they do it all over the country, but ain't no shortage of finessers in New York. Okay, so I hope that answers your question there. Just because when I hear finesse used as a verb, I tend to see it as somebody getting more gain out of it than somebody else. But that's just me. All right, so let's move on. That was Moon in Scorpio. The next placement is going to be Mercury in Pisces. All right, we're going to talk about that. Mercury in Pisces. Let's go there. All right. Let me share this to the screen. Mercury in Pisces is considered a debilitated position. I'm going to tell y'all in a minute why Matt thinks that's a superpower. Mercury is exalted in the sign of Virgo, which strengthens its analytical, communicative, and intellectual capacities. Individuals with exalted Mercury have sharp intellects, excellent problem-solving skills, and are articulate in expressing their thoughts. They excel in fields that require attention to detail, research, and communication. In contrast, Mercury is debilitated in Pisces. This can lead to confusion, lack of focus, and challenges in effective communication. When Mercury is exalted in Virgo, its intellectual abilities, analytical prowess, and communication skills reach their peak. This alignment empowers individuals with sharp thinking, excellent organizational skills, and effective communication, enabling them to excel in fields such as writing, research, and problem solving. Mercury's debilitation in Pisces can create difficulties in clear thinking, decision making, and effective communication. It may lead to confusion, scattered thoughts, and challenges in expressing oneself articulately. However, this position can also foster creativity, intuition, and spiritual growth. Now, let's jump over to astrology.com and see what they got to say over there. All right, Mercury in Pisces. This tends to be a time more suited for quiet contemplation as opposed to intense or lively back and forths. So embrace the opportunity to brush up on your listening skills. I think that's talking about the transit. Let me get out of that. Mercury in Pisces, significance and meaning. Of course, the element is water. Listen, y'all. Let me just put this out here right now. If you have a position in water, I'm always going to say that's a superpower, because water is the emotions, and water is also life. So if you've got a water placement, you already have a built-in superpower. If it's in Cancer, it's going to give you the power of empathy, or the ability to feel the energy of an environment, or the energy of a thing, or the energy of people. Okay. That's Mercury. I'm sorry. That is Cancer placements. Scorpio placements make you a seer. You can see into the depths of darkness. You can literally see into somebody's soul. You can see through people's actions. You can see through people's words, depending on if that is a Mercury placement, or a rising placement, or a sun placement even, or a moon placement. Scorpio energies, they're the seers. And of course, if you have Pisces are the knowers. Pisces is the ruler of the 12th house. It rules over the subconscious. It also governs the bridge between the spirit realm and the physical realm. So you can get information from the other side when you're tapped into your Pisces energy. So you will never hear me say that any water placement is a debilitation. Let me just get that out of the way, because we've had three of these so-called debilitated placements are in water. All right. We said the moon in Scorpio, that's a water moon. That's considered debilitated. I just told you why I think it's a superpower. It's only debilitated when it's low vibrational. Now we're talking about Mercury in Pisces. What's coming up is going to be Mars and Cancer. I'm talking about that in a minute. But Mercury in Pisces, it's a water sign and it's mutable, meaning adaptable. Now, positive keywords for Mercury in Pisces: they're expansive, fluid, receptive, subtle, and transcendent. Okay. Negative keywords: absent-minded, confused, indirect, nebulous, and self-deceptive. That's Pisces energy, period. It ain't just about Mercury. Let me go down to the details section. And I didn't do this on the moon in Scorpio, so I'm going to go back and just read the details for you guys, just to keep everything balanced and even. I'm a Libra rising, so I try to stay balanced. Anyway, Mercury and Pisces personality. Life may be a dream for those with this Mercury placement, okay? As watery as their element, they have an ethereal method of self-expression. Beautiful, but at times incoherent. With vague communication as their calling card, these natives privilege their flowing intuition over hard logic. Therefore, conversations with a Pisces Mercury can be a little confusing. But don't assume that they aren't dropping in from important wisdom. It's just hidden under layers of implication and sentiment, because Pisces be in their fields. We know that. Beyond their communication style, those with this placement immerse themselves in the waters of their imagination. They are consummate dreamers, and the less grounded of them can spend hours conjuring up fantasies and storylines. Shout out to my younger brother. Anyway, the world sometimes overwhelms Pisces Mercuries, so their frequent flights of fancy don't come as a surprise. Given the opportunity, they can channel these fantastic imaginings into amazing works of art. Positive traits. As Pisces Mercury delves on the intuitive end of existence, they pick up on themes and patterns that others may overlook. Paired with their formidable listening skills, these natives make for understanding counselors. Aside from daydreams, compassion is their greatest export. Additionally, their sensitivity grants them enormous powers of creative expression. Mercury in Pisces is a born poet and dreamer who can travel to new worlds without even leaving their homes. My brother does it all the time. Therefore, it comes as no surprise that those with this placement populate their filmmaking and photography industries, or populate the filmmaking and photography industries. Their creative vision is unmatched, and my brother has actual Hollywood credit as well. He's been in a movie, so yeah, this is right in the wheelhouse. He was an extra, so don't no, he ain't no autographs to be given. He was an extra. All right. Anyway, negative traits. Though they weave beautiful fantasies, Pisces Mercuries could stand to be more in touch with the material world. Being so sensitive, they tend to run from the responsibilities of everyday life. Though they're definitely emotionally supportive, their loved ones may perceive them as being inconsistent or unreliable. While in the world, their trusting natures can leave them open to deception as more savvy characters play to their compassion. So those with this placement must strive to maintain stronger boundaries. Furthermore, their oversensitivity can make it difficult to communicate directly with them for fear of causing offense. All right. That is Mercury in Pisces. Now, Truth Seeker said, using logic for spirituality. LOL. Okay. Here we go. Why, Matthew, do you say that Mercury in Pisces is a superpower? It has everything to do with the 12th house. Everything to do. K, Guevara, Moon, and Mars is in Pisces. Wow. Wow. Interesting. Didn't know that, Truth Seeker. Thank you for adding that. Wow. And he's a powerful historical figure. Listen, I call Mercury in Pisces a superpower because, one, I just told you guys, if you got a water placement, Matt's not saying that's debilitated. That is a superpower as far as I'm concerned. Now, the thing with Mercury being the ruler of the conscious mind, now Pisces rules over the subconscious, whereas Virgo and Gemini rule over the conscious mind because they're Mercury their ruling planet is Mercury, which rules over the conscious mind. Okay, so you've got a little bit of a conflict. The planet that deals with the consciousness or the conscious thoughts is sitting in a sign that rules over the subconscious. that could be hey, come back, we're over here. That could be considered a debilitation. But here's where that's a superpower. That Mercury in Pisces has to work. They have to work to focus and overcome their own subconscious thoughts to pay attention and lock in. Now, where that becomes a superpower is because you are a sign that rules over the 12th house, which is the bridge between heaven and earth, the bridge between the spirit realm and the natural realm. Your advantage over the exalted sign of Mercury in Virgo is that Mercury in Virgo is looking for hard facts. They're looking at logic. They're looking at detail. That Pisces, if they can learn, if they can tap into that Virgo energy that sits on their tails side of the coin, the tail side is the side you don't see. Every Pisces has a little bit of Virgo in them. Every Virgo has a little bit of Pisces in them. If that Mercury in Pisces can tap into that Virgo energy just long enough, and that's an if they can tap into it just long enough and focus on what's going on in the conscious world, they can take the spirit side of it and tie those two together. Because we know the scripture says, as high as the heavens are from the earth, that's how far my thoughts are from your thoughts. That's the Most High talking. So that Pisces Mercury can actually bridge the gap and be able to lock in on the information being presented and say, hey, you know what? There's more to it that we're not seeing. That Mercury in Virgo is trusting its logic and trusting the information. It's going to analyze the information that's presented to it. But Pisces Mercury is able to get information that is not being presented by any of the other signs. So what they have to do is they have to, again, going back to 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, getting into that around that 9th verse area, that what it says, my strength is made perfect in weakness. If they can get into that strength of that Christ consciousness, that higher octave, that elevated mental state, okay, that state of enlightenment, then they're able to expand on the consciousness and fill it on out with by marrying the conscious with the subconscious. So that becomes a superpower. But their way is going to be challenging and a little bit more difficult because Pisces energy is known for staying in the dream world. So even though that's considered a debilitation, when you're presented with a so-called debilitated position, you have a capacity to do something that the exalted sign cannot. That exalted sign, that Mercury in Virgo, they don't have the capacity to tap into the ethereal realms like that Mercury in Pisces does. So guess what? What does the scripture say? Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Most High, hearing by the word of the power. If faith comes by hearing, then if you are a Mercury in Pisces, hear me when I'm saying to you that you have the ability to tap into higher realms. You have the ability to tap into the innermost man and pull out information that even that one, which is called an exalted position, does not have. So guess what? By hearing it, it activates your what? What is faith? What does Matt say faith is on this channel? You never hear me go with that substance of things hoped for, evidence of things unseen. I wish somebody would rip that out of the Bible. I literally wish they would rip that page out of the Bible. Faith is an inner knowing, sight unseen. That is why we're instructed to walk by faith and not by sight. That inner knowing comes from that solar plexus chakra. That's the gut is called the second brain. That's that inner eye. We talk about that third eye all the time, but that third eye sits in the sixth chakra. What else sits in the sixth chakra? The physical eyes and the physical ears. So that's why it says walk by faith and not by sight, because you can be deceived by what you see and what you hear. But that inner knowing, that's the real center of faith, because the gut has no eyes. The gut has no eyes. So when you tap into that inner knowing, then you know. Faith comes by hearing. So that inner knowing comes by hearing. If you are a Mercury in Pisces, know that you have the ability to tap in and merge, do what you do naturally. Pisces is the rule of the 12th house. The 12th house is the bridge between the afterlife and the current life. It's the bridge between the spirit realm and the physical realm. It's the bridge between the natural world and the spiritual world. So you have an ability to tap in. But what you have to do is you have to focus. You have to focus. You can do it, but it's all about the capacity and the potential. That might be the closest thing to a so-called debilitation out of all these signs I've gone through, because Pisces is naturally a dreamer. And Pisces, what did I say? It's only a debilitation when it is in low vibrational energy. Remember, Pisces being ruled by Neptune. What is Neptune? That's water energy. Okay. What do we know about water? The higher up, the higher you are in water. Let's say from, for example, and I'm not a marine biologist, but let's say, for example, from sea level down to 100 feet, the sunlight can penetrate. So you can see in those higher levels of water. But with the lower you go in that water, 200 feet, 300 feet, 400 feet, it gets darker and darker and darker to the point where the sunlight can no longer penetrate and it's pitch black and you cannot see. So that is the illusion world. So this is why when you have Pisces energy, regardless of the placement, I know we're talking about Mercury right now, but regardless of the placement, you have to stay in those higher waters when you're Pisces. Higher waters, higher emotional frequency range. When you stay in those higher emotional frequency range, you will see clearly, and you will not slip into the deep waters of illusion and seeing things that are not there. That's always the dangerous with That's always the danger with Pisces energy, which is why you have to stay high vibrational when you have Pisces or 12th house placements. So I know I went off on a tangent a little bit, but the Mercury in Pisces is it is a communication superpower. If you can stay high vibrational and figure out how to bridge the gap between the information that, first of all, you got to pay attention. Don't dream. Pay attention to the communication that's being presented. Don't take a little piece off of it and say, I wonder if you tell a Virgo, hey, listen, go 5 miles down the road, make a right on this road, and then go 2 miles, and there'll be a farmer's market over there where you can get all of the vegetables that you're looking for. Virgo going to make a list of the vegetables they need. They're going to probably call in advance and find out what vegetables they have there, blah, blah, blah. They're going to get the facts and go. You tell that to the Pisces, they might say, okay, I wonder what happened if I go 6 miles this way. I know he said go 5 miles, but what's 6 miles? I wonder if they got a peach stand, or I wonder if I can go around another way instead of going the way that they told me. Virgo going exactly like you told them to go. They done already wrote it down. Boom. They following the instructions to a T. Pisces going to be like, is there another way I can go? That may not necessarily be a bad thing, because guess what? If there's a traffic jam, that person that's going to know that shortcut is that imaginative Pisces. But you at least have to be able to get the information, Pisces, and don't take a little piece of it and run off and say, I know that's a farmer's market, but I wonder if they sell bicycle tires there. Like, wouldn't it be really cool? Like, farmers ride bicycles too. Like, sometimes I've seen the movies where they put corn husks in their milk truck bicycle basket, and people be riding around, and then sometimes somebody's walking by and they need a ride, so they say, hey, you need a ride? Oh, I'm going to the farmer's market. You can get inside the basket and sit and you got long legs? Well, just let them dangle, and I'll try to Pisces, come back, okay? All right, so I just gave y'all an example of Pisces energy, okay? Listen, stay high vibrational with all of these. It's only a debilitation when you are in low vibrational energy. Remember that. Gotta run, Matt. Thanks for the info. You got it, KTS. Hopefully you can come back and get the rest of it, unless you got what you need out of it. I know sometimes with these, people stay on to get their placements and then they go. So hopefully you got everything you need from it. But if not, it'll be up here. It'll be finished in a little bit. So you can come back later. Thank you. So that is Aquarius he get FYI. Okay. So anyway, that is Mercury and Pisces. Now we're going to move on to the next so-called debilitated placement, Venus and Virgo. Let's bring it up. And I did mention that I was going to talk about Moon and Scorpio. Let me do that real quick. I know I did it, but I didn't read that little so I'm gonna do it right now, because if I get to the end, I might forget. So let's read the little write-up really quick. Just going to backtrack. We're gonna do a retrograde. We're gonna do a video retrograde. All right. We're gonna go retrograde in the sign of Moon and Scorpio. Okay. Let's retrograde. Retrograde with me, family. Here we go. Moon and Scorpio personality. I just wanted to read this for you guys. I know I went over it already, but I'm going to read this anyway, because somebody might have wanted to know. And I want to give Moon and Scorpio their just due. I read the description parts of the other two, so let's do it. On the surface, Scorpio moons appear to be the most controlled of their watery brethren. Lunar scorpions prefer to sift through their emotions alone, projecting a mysterious air to everyone but their dearest and sometimes not even them. But like a lake frozen over, their psyches contain any number of lurking sensitivities and troubles. Unfortunately for their loved ones and those trying to join those ranks, they have an inherent distrust toward others. That's not always a bad thing if it is, because sometimes that distrust can save your life. Let me just say that. That's why I said it's a superpower too. Conversely, those with their moon in Scorpio actively seek out commitment. However, their defensive and overly suspicious natures make it difficult for their relationships to reach the profundity that they crave. But for the rare few that manage to break through Scorpio moon's walls, a wealth of devotion awaits them. The affection of a Scorpio moon isn't for everyone, but for those who receive it, it is everything. Positive traits. Due to their suspicious disposition, Due to their suspicious dispositions, little gets past their penetrating gazes. Scorpio moons can be human lie detectors, intuiting crookedness from the slightest inconsistency. Naturally, lunar scorpions intuit others' psychology with ease and can understand even the most off the wall reactions. I said that earlier. Therefore, these lunar natives could never be satisfied with shallowness. No Scorpio placement I know like shallowness. They like, look, dismiss me with all that. Let's go deep. Can we deep dive here? Anyway, they drip with and crave intensity. In fact, powerful emotional experiences help them shed their old skins. Sign of transformation. It's all or nothing for a Scorpio moon. Often unintentionally, these powerful individuals act as a catalyst for change in anyone they come across, for better or worse. Did I not nail that, y'all? I nailed that. Negative traits. Fears of treachery keep lunar scorpions up at night. Therefore, they may cut people off over minor hurt feelings, feelings that others' actions preclude further hurt. Y'all, I know a solar Cancer, a Cancer sun with a moon in Scorpio. That mofo will cut you off for nothing almost. Crazy. Anyway, for those they don't remove from their lives, Scorpio moon puts through significant trials and tests meant to prove their trustworthiness. But even once they've reached the point of trust, those with their moon in Scorpio may seek to control and test their loved ones. Y'all paying attention to Scorpio moon? Y'all ain't got to test everybody. If they pass the test the first time, don't come back and test them again on the same material. Or worse, their need for intensity can lead them to self-sabotaging behaviors. That's all the Scorpio placements, believe it or not. That's why you got to stay high vibrational. Let me read that again. Or worse, their need for intensity can lead them to self-sabotaging behaviors. Overall, the emotional landscape of someone with their moon in Scorpio can be thorny and hostile if they aren't careful. So I wanted to backtrack and read that for the Scorpio moons. Profundity, interesting word. Yeah, I got from that profoundness. I'd never heard that before. Let me look that up real quick. Deep insight. Yeah, it's like being profound. Let me share that to the screen for you, Mistress Forgiveness. Hang on one sec. Profundity. I said profundity. Profundity. Deep insight, great depth of knowledge or thought. So it's like being profound, basically, the state of being profound. Great depth or intensity of a state, quality, or emotion. A statement or idea that shows great knowledge or insight. Same as being profound. So yeah, that root word sticks out. It jumps out. So that was just a retro grade of Moon and Scorpio. Now we're gonna move forward to did we do Venus in Virgo? Yes, it's time for Venus in Virgo. We did Mercury and Pisces. We're going to move on now to Venus in Virgo. Let's bring it up. Okay, Venus in Virgo. And there will be timestamps at the end of this video. I'll go back and put them in there. When Venus steps into diligent Virgo after bombastic Leo, it's time to get together. This placement cares more about intellectual stimulation and a good heart than the usual. You know what, y'all? Hang on a second. Hang on. I usually read this part second. I want to stay in order. See, that's that Mayat principle stuff coming up again, y'all. You can't get away from it when you got major Libra placements. All right, let's go to Venus. Here we go. This is from clickastro.com. Okay. Venus. Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, enhancing its artistic, romantic, and harmonious attributes. Individuals with an exalted Venus are usually charming, creative, and possess a strong aesthetic sense. They have a magnetic personality and a knack for creating beauty and harmony in their surroundings. However, when debilitated in Virgo, Venus may struggle with self worth, overanalyzing relationships, and difficulties in expressing affection. Now, y'all heard me say earlier that a good friend of mine would see Venus and Pisces as a debilitation. If she were to tell you that, it would be because she says that the Venus and Pisces people that she's known have been these people that are like, oh, they like me, and like, okay, well, I'm a go. They're dreamy, so it's like it's that fantasy land. Oh, that person likes me. Well, let me go share myself with them. Oh, they like me. Let me go share myself with them. So she considers it a debilitation, but the book says Venus in Pisces is exalted. So we'll go by the book. All right. Anyway, again, they have a magnetic personality and a knack for creating beauty and harmony in their surroundings. However, when debilitated in Virgo, Venus may struggle with self-worth, overanalyzing relationships, and difficulties in expressing affection. In Pisces, Venus radiates its artistic and loving energy, promoting emotional connection and spiritual depth. Virgo's analytical and practical nature can challenge Venus's desire for pleasure and indulgence. This placement may dampen the expression of Venusian qualities, leading to challenges in relationships and difficulties in expressing affection openly. Now, let's go over to astrology.com and see what they have to say. All right. This placement cares more about intellectual stimulation and a good heart than the usual material trappings of romance. In this placement, true love looks more like unloading the dishwasher rather than the over the top displays of affection. Honesty, loyalty, and trust are most important. Virgo tends to evaluate all their options before making a solid decision. So, Venus in Virgo takes a cautious approach to love, taking their time to evaluate potential partners before jumping into a relationship or bed. Venus in Virgo, significance and meaning. Element and modality, earth and mutable. So earth is grounded energy and mutable is adaptable. Adaptability in and of itself is a superpower because fixed energy doesn't want to budge, and cardinal energy says what I say goes. So adaptability itself is already a superpower, if you ask me. Positive keywords for Venus and Virgo: observant, reserved, self-sacrificing. That could be negative, depending on if you're not getting back in return. But we're going to talk to that when I give you my take on Venus and Virgo. Sensible, thoughtful. Negative keywords for Venus and Virgo are aloof, cynical, fault-finding, fussy, and inhibited. Their personality. Those with their Venus and Virgo understand innately that true love happens beyond the grand moments. Therefore, they treasure the little moments in between, doing the dishes, cooking meals together, and generally establishing a couple's routine. Theirs is a practical affection that aims to improve both themselves and their partners. Following grandiose Venus in Leo, it comes as no surprise that Venus in Virgo prefers a subtler approach to love and affection. Love for them is in the little things. Furthermore, Virgo Venuses are picky daters of the Goldilocks variety. That is, they are in search of a partner who's just right and won't settle for anything less. Despite Venus being in a fall or debilitated position, those with this placement maintain high standards and are devoted in their own way. Overall, love is practicality for these finicky folks. Keep in mind that Venus also rules over non-love partnerships. Could be work or something like that. Positive traits: work, career, that kind of thing. Business, that kind of thing. Positive traits: Venus in Virgo's love language is acts of service. So expect a clean kitchen instead of a bouquet of flowers. However, these natives aren't unromantic. Their gifts simply err on the side of functionality. They're more likely to set up a candlelit meal after a particularly tiresome work week than to send their lovers on an expensive shopping spree. Their highly observant nature allows them to cater to their partners in ways that less detail-oriented signs may overlook. Above nearly all other Venus placements, Virgo understands that love is work. Much like in their professions, they aspire to perfection. Negative traits. Like all Virgo placements, Virgo Venus's well-meaning critiques can be a bit biting. Due to these natives' high standards, their partners can feel like they're difficult or even impossible to please. In this way, some with their Venus in Virgo weaponize Virgo's characteristic attention to detail and bemoan their lack of love. Meanwhile, they've blocked their soulmate for chewing incorrectly. Don't do that to a Virgo, period. Any placement. Anyway, or chewing with your mouth open. I hear Virgos, that's like scratching the keyboard or scratching the chalkboard with a Virgo, any placement. If they see your mouth open or hear you smacking or they see like the food in your mouth, they're gonna run for cover. Or they gonna read you your rights, one of the two. Anyway, though practicality serves one well on the job, it may be better for Venus and Virgo to consider that love sometimes requires spontaneity. There's a reason that we are said to fall rather than plan in love. Additionally, Venus and Virgo needs to feel needed, but in doing so, they can risk becoming beasts of burden for ungrateful individuals. Remember what I said, family. It is only a debilitation when it is low vibrational, when the emotions are low vibrational. Now, here's Matt's take on Venus and Virgo and why I think it's a superpower. Venus in Virgo is blessed with the ability to render unconditional love. Unconditional love. They're going to be nitpicky. They may critique you, but remember, Virgos, they have this built-in thing with attention to detail. And if something seems off and it can be better, they're going to make it better if they care. If they don't care, they're going to keep it moving. But if they care, they're going to make it better. That's what they do. So, how is it a debilitation when you have the ability to love unconditionally? That is a superpower. Unconditional love can win over people. It can win over people. So that is why I think that Venus in Virgo is a strength. Venus in Virgo is not a debilitation, but rather a superpower. If you can love someone through their mess, you can actually heal. The ability to love someone through, despite their faults, can lend itself to healing. It can lend itself to healing. So on the flip side, you got that exalted position of Venus and Pisces. Venus and Pisces, are they necessarily going to try to correct anything that they might see as wrong? No, they're too busy in fantasy land. Or they'll just, I know a lot of Pisces energy, and no disrespect to you if you're Pisces, but a lot of times they'll take what's presented to them, or they'll take what's given. They're like, well, they'll try to see the bright side of a thing, whereas Virgo's like, nah, this ain't right. We got to fix this. We have to fix this so that we can improve a thing. That is a superpower. Not everybody's blessed with that ability. You only get these so-called debilitated placements when you're strong enough to carry them. The Most High don't put any more on you than you can bear. So if you have the ability to bear what's considered a debilitated placement, that makes you chosen. It doesn't make you debilitated. It makes you chosen. So again, Venus and Virgo, they are blessed with the superpower of unconditional love. Love heals. Love heals. Now, where Venus and Virgo has to be careful is making sure that they are high vibrational, and not, because if a low vibrational Venus and Virgo will overgive to someone that is not giving back. And I know I just kind of, I don't want to sound contradictory because I just mentioned unconditional love, but the truth of the matter is, I have seen Venus and Virgos get taken advantage of in business partnerships, not just romantic partnerships, because they can kind of do their thing in romantic partnerships. Virgo's willingness to serve can get them into trouble with low vibrational business partners who are using them. So that's what you got to be careful of when you have a Venus and Virgo. But all in all, I see Venus and Virgo as a superpower. So, Truth Seeker said Venus and Virgo are good marriage consultants. Interesting. Well, I guess that depends. I guess that depends because it depends. It can depend because one person could end up feeling picked on. It depends on who that Venus and Virgo is, because one person can Virgos have a critiquing nature by nature. That's That's what they're here to do. They're the ones that get everything in proper order. Remember, Virgo is the sign that passes summer off to the fall. So they put everything in order before handing that season over to that cardinal fall sign, which is Libra. Hey, everything, we close out the summer, everything's good. Here you go. We've done the harvest, all of that stuff. We've cleaned up the field. Here, now your fall comes in. So, yes, very much so problem solvers. Absolutely, True Seeker. Absolutely. So, that is Venus in Virgo. The next so-called debilitated placement is that was Venus. We're going to Mars next. Okay, we got Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, and we're done. So Mars, let's go to Mars. Another water sign, y'all saying is debilitated. I don't like to hear debilitation with water. It's really water is the superpower. Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, which enhances its assertive, ambitious, and disciplined nature. Individuals with an exalted Mars are driven, focused, and possess strong determination. They excel in taking action, overcoming obstacles, and achieving their goals. However, when debilitated in Cancer, Mars can exhibit a lack of drive and direction. It may manifest as passive aggressiveness, moodiness, and difficulty channeling its energy effectively. Individuals with Mars exalted in Capricorn often display exceptional leadership qualities, strategic thinking, and the ability to overcome obstacles. On the flip, Mars is debilitated in Cancer, a sign ruled by the nurturing and emotional moon. Cancer's sensitive and nurturing energy may suppress Mars's assertiveness, leading to passive-aggressive tendencies or difficulty in expressing anger. Again, those are all low vibrational emotions. Do we have to dip down into our shadow sometimes? Absolutely, but we don't want to live there. So this is talking about the lower octave of the emotions that come with Mars and Cancer. Capricorn's disciplined and ambitious nature aligns with Mars's drive and determination, making it a favorable placement for Mars. Those with Mars debilitated in Cancer may struggle with assertiveness, confrontations, and initiating action. Now, let's jump over to astrology.com. Alrighty, here we go. All right, Mars and Cancer, they're cardinal water sign, of course. Some positive keywords for Mars and Cancer are compassionate, domestic, helpful, shrewd, and traditional. Okay? Yeah, they don't necessarily sound like a superpower, just kind of regular, but let's go. Negative keywords for Mars and Cancer: easily offended, fussy, incomprehensible, insecure, and passive aggressive. Let's read. Mars and Cancer personality. A Mars and Cancer creates a more passive creature. Or Mars and Cancer creates a more passive creature. Instead of retaliating, they usually retreat into their shells to cope with their emotions in private. Theirs is a silent, ruminating sort of temper with a penchant for passive aggressiveness. But don't take them for doormats. Once pushed to the edge, their explosions are intense and can be nasty. Outside of the rare fit, those with their Mars and Cancer adopt a certain tentativeness when taking action. Despite Cancer's emotional ruling planet, this placement prefers to look before leaping. Conversely, their thoughtfulness can also manifest as inaction, which naturally harms them in the long run. However, as is the case with most Cancer placements, concern for their nearest and dearest can push them into action. God help you if you threaten their loved ones. Their inner crab has claws. Some positive traits: those with their Mars and Cancer are driven by a desire to build a space where they feel at home. For some, this literally expresses itself in a focus on creating a family of their own, as their idealized stability means very little to them if it isn't serving some greater purpose. For this reason, Cancer Mars is one of the steadier and more dependable Mars placements. However, this natural helpfulness extends beyond their immediate relations, as Cancer Marses tend to be a philanthropic bunch. Now, on the negative side, anger isn't a comfortable position for these natives. However, their intense sensitivity can make them defensive of any perceived slight. The result is that some Mars and Cancer natives become perpetually moody. Additionally, for those seeking adventure, look elsewhere. Cancer Mars prefers a simple and traditional approach to life. People with this placement are fueled by their emotions. When Cancer Marses feel well, they can conquer the world. But when they're down, they're truly out. Because their emotional phases fluctuate like those of their ruling planet, the moon, having their emotions in the driver's seat, sometimes proves troublesome. Now, let me dip back really quick to Venus and Virgo before I go forward with this Mars and Cancer. One of the other things I wanted to say that makes Venus and Virgo a superpower is when you understand and understand that Virgo or that Venus is the planet that rules over, or the energy that rules and governs over relationships, the attention to detail, relationships and partnerships. Let me say it that way. The attention to detail and organizational capabilities of Virgo energy can make a partnership rock solid. It can make it rock solid. It can make it highly successful in the business world. If you got a Venus and Virgo on your team in business, that attention to detail is going to make that partnership arguably far more rock solid and powerful than the sign that's supposed to be exalted. Pisces, Venus and Pisces. A Venus and Pisces as a business partner versus a Venus and Virgo as a business partner. Y'all put that in the chat and tell me which one you'd rather have. I'll tell you mine. I'm taking a Venus and Virgo all day long. All day long. Attention to details, analytical. That's a superpower in partnerships, especially of the business type. So a lot of times these are considered debilitations because when people, a lot of the astrology community hears Venus, they think the planet of love, the planet of romance, the planet of relationships. They skip the part where Venus, and which is the natural ruler of the seventh house, has to deal with partnerships of all types. So if you're talking a business partnership, you're going to be hard pressed to find a better business partner than a Venus in Virgo, because their attention to detail is going to make that a rock solid venture, period. Now, on to Mars and Cancer. Remembering what the water signs all do, which I mentioned earlier, and what Mars is, you have to take those two into account when calling Mars in Cancer debilitated. Mars is the planet of war, the planet of action, the planet of aggression, okay? The planet of conflict. If you take Cancer energy is so nurturing that it can actually diffuse the type of high, volatile, highly charged emotions that lead to conflict. Cancer energy is so nurturing and so empathic, it is able to use its empathy as a superpower and tap into the emotions of warring factions or a perceived opponent and know exactly what is being felt by that other person. That's a superpower. That's a superpower. If you know that opponent, if you know what they're feeling, you can adjust accordingly. Okay. The other thing too, the nurturing energy can soothe the savage beast. Those Cancerian traits can actually diffuse a situation. That is a superpower. That's a superpower. On the flip side, Capricorn is exalted in Mars. If it's time to go to war, time to go to conflict, that Capricorn is a problem solver naturally. So it's going to figure it out. It's going to figure out the best way to win, because Capricorn is the sign of the achiever. So the Capricorn energy is exalted in the sign of Mars, or Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, because Mars wants to go to war and win, and Capricorn is the sign of the achiever. So the flip is considered debilitated because Cancer wants to stay at home. But guess what? If you push Cancer into that conflict energy, if it stays high vibrational, it can nurture and diffuse, or it can use its empathy as a weapon and tap into the emotions of the opponent to know what that opponent wants to do. That's a superpower. I told you all the water signs are superpowers. So that is why I say a Mars in Cancer is only debilitated when they're in low vibrational energy. If they're high vibrational, it's a superpower. Okay. All right. They have the ability to achieve by using what they do naturally. And that's something that the Capricorn energy is not going to do. It's not going to nurture when it's time for conflict, struggle. Capricorn energy ain't nurturing, rhymes with spit. Cancer doesn't want to do it because it doesn't want to, it wants to avoid the conflict. But if it knows itself, know thyself. If it knows itself and that its superpower is tapping into the emotions of others by feeling them, Cancer is also another sign that heals. It heals. It can heal through touch. Why? Because it's a sponge. So it can absorb the infirmities of others. It can absorb the emotions of others and then take them and transmute them or empty them or release them. Think of Cancer as a sponge. If the enemy is a water puddle, you put that dry sponge on it, Cancer, it'll soak up that water. The water's gone. It can go and wring it out now. Hey, there's no more conflict. That's the superpower of Mars and Cancer. Keep that in mind. Okay. Oh, I want to see that. I never saw the John Wick movies. That's interesting. Thank you for adding that, Truth Seeker. I'm definitely going to look into that. Definitely going to look into that. So, to keep this thing moving, let us now go to Jupiter and Capricorn. We got 2 signs left, y'all. 2 signs left. Thank y'all for sticking around if you're still here. Jupiter in, I just did Mars. Yeah, Jupiter. Jupiter in Capricorn is considered a debilitated placement. I'm going to tell you why I don't think that's the case. All right. Jupiter in Capricorn. Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer, amplifying its expansive, benevolent, and philosophical qualities. Individuals with an exalted Jupiter are often generous, optimistic, and possess a strong sense of faith. They have a natural inclination towards wisdom, spirituality, and social harmony. On the other hand, Jupiter is debilitated in the sign of Capricorn. This debilitation can result in a lack of confidence, overemphasis on materialistic pursuits, and a tendency towards pessimism. Jupiter's exaltation in Cancer signifies a harmonious blending of the planet's expansive and benevolent qualities with the nurturing and protective energies of Cancer. This placement enhances Jupiter's natural traits of wisdom, abundance, and growth, emphasizing its ability to bring prosperity and good fortune in areas related to home, family, and emotional well-being. Individuals born with Jupiter exalted in their birth charts may exhibit strong intuition, a caring nature, and a capacity for providing support and guidance to others. On the other hand, Jupiter's debilitation in Capricorn suggests a temporary weakening of the planet's energies. Capricorn's practical and disciplined nature can somewhat restrain Jupiter's exuberance and inclination for expansion. This placement may manifest as challenges in expressing optimism, difficulty in taking risks, or a need for more structured approaches to achieve success. However, it is important to note that debilitation does not imply complete negativity, but rather a temporary dampening of Jupiter's inherent qualities. Let's jump over to astrology.com. All right, let's see. Okay. Ambitious Capricorn and optimistic Jupiter are a match made in career heaven. Hardly sounds like a debilitation to me, but let's keep going. Being the hardworking goal setter that Capricorn is, alongside Jupiter's strategic influence, makes almost anything possible. With Jupiter in Capricorn, it's easy to make an action plan and stick to it, even if it's not natural to you. You may have, now, why would making an action plan not be natural to a Capricorn? That's what, I'm a Cap son. That's what we do. Okay. Anyway, you may have an increased desire for things to be clear, cut, and rational, and may balk when too much emotion gets in the way. It can be easy for you to overanalyze and succumb to anxiety. So it's crucial to find ways to cultivate a sense of healthy perspective and boundaries. Now, we're talking about cardinal Earth. Cardinal Earth. Earth doesn't move. And cardinal is, again, those are the leaders of the zodiac. Positive traits of Jupiter and Capricorn are careful, contemplative, industrious, motivated, and resourceful. Negative traits are dry, overthinking, pessimistic, restrained, and severe. Okay, personality. Jupiter broadens Capricorn's enterprising attitude to conceive a veritable business person with their eyes on the prize. While its precursors may have coasted on chance, Jupiter in Capricorn knows how to toil to get what they want. Unable is an unfamiliar concept for other people. It should say for these people. But anyway, as they tend to make things happen. That's the Capricorn and the writer and the editor. And that's the third house Capricorn to me, y'all. I caught that. Unable is an unfamiliar concept for these people as they tend to make things happen. Despite their focus on work and achievement, Jupiter in Capricorn is hardly a dull placement. Beneath that ambition and sober persona is a sarcastic entertainer who knows how to let their hair down. However, this side of Capricorn Jupiter isn't for public consumption. Only with their nearest and dearest do they let their wild side free. Public perception is, after all, a hang-up of these folks. Don't ask me while I'm smiling and laughing, all right? Positive traits. Though a lot of their success can be attributed to their stellar work ethic, the favor of Jupiter shouldn't be underestimated. Seemingly from out of the blue, massive career opportunities fall into their laps. Due to the natural stamina of the sign, they rarely falter in these prime positions and continue where others may have collapsed. Capricorn is a sign of endurance. However, self-belief also plays a large role in Capricorn's success story, Capricorn Jupiter's success story. The planet of blessings relieves some of the heaviness caused by Capricorn's ruling planet, Saturn, finally allowing them to breathe. No longer wallowing in self-loathing, they can further devote themselves to their goals. On the negative side, cautious appraisal is the name of the Capricorn game. Realism is practical, but incompatible with the nature of Jupiter. Therefore, they don't always fully draw on Jupiter's blessings. Additionally, since Capricorn's ambition is inflated here, those with this placement risk becoming professionally cutthroat if they're not careful. While Jupiter blesses them with additional positivity, even the planet of expansion can't completely sweep away Saturn's pessimism. That's just the nature of Capricorn. In this way, Jupiter and Capricorn natives still tend toward dejection when their plans don't pan out as they intended. They may blame themselves for mishaps that were completely out of their control. Now, LeBron is a Jupiter and Capricorn. Okay. So now let me explain something to y'all. Jupiter, I told y'all early on, is the rich daddy. It wants to give. One reason why Jupiter in Capricorn is considered a debilitated placement is because where Cancer, the home bodies of the zodiac, are like, okay, yeah, give me that. Remember, I said they're a sponge. Cancer in Capricorn, Cancer in Jupiter and Cancer. Yeah, Jupiter and Cancer is considered an exalted position. So they're like, yeah, gimme. That's cool. What is Cancer? Cancer energy. If Capricorn is considered the daddy of the zodiac, Cancer is considered the mama of the zodiac. So the Capricorn energy goes out and earns. They build the house. The Cancer energy builds the home. So when you're giving to the home builder, they're accepting it with open arms and using it to flourish or whatever. Capricorn energy is like, nah, don't give me nothing. I want to earn it. Capricorn's like, nah, I want to earn it. I have to earn it. I'm built to earn it. That's that Saturnian energy. Let me earn it. Nah, don't give me anything. Let me earn it. That's one of the reasons why it's considered a debilitated position. But let me tell you why Jupiter in Capricorn is a superpower. Jupiter, when you look at it as the planet of gifts, because it is, the people that write these things up, they don't necessarily look at that aspect of Jupiter being the planet where our gifts live. If you are a Jupiter in Capricorn, that makes you a gifted achiever. That makes you a gifted problem solver. That makes you a gifted overcomer. That makes you a gifted earner. So you don't necessarily need the free stuff from Jupiter, because Jupiter has given you, through gifts, the ability to earn in ways that others do not have. So that Jupiter has given you the ability to achieve in ways that others are not able to. It has given you the ability to problem solve in ways that others cannot. So if you are a Jupiter in Capricorn, you are gifted with the ability to overcome and to achieve. Hardly sounds like a debilitation. That is a superpower. You are gifted with endurance. Capricorn is a sign of endurance. And Jupiter being a gift, that means you've been gifted with the ability to endure where others would fail or quit. Capricorn is simply not going to give up until the mission is completed. So if that is your Jupiter sign, Jupiter is also an expander. It is an amplifier. So if you have Jupiter sitting in the sign of Capricorn, those abilities are amplified. That is hardly a debilitation, if you ask me. I see it as a superpower. Now, last but not least, Saturn, the stern mother. The stern mother of the zodiac. Let's go to Saturn. Let's go to Mama Saturn. All right. Saturn. Let's go to clickastro.com. For those of you who are stuck around, thank you. We are at the final sign. And I'm going to have to watch this back, go through and get the timestamps. I didn't give myself any cue card, so I'll have to go back and watch this. So the timestamps, by the time they should be done by Saturday midday. I'll commit to that. Or no. Let me say Saturday evening. I got some stuff I got to do tomorrow. All right, here we go. Saturn. Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra. I spoke about that earlier, which strengthens its disciplined, organized, and practical nature. Individuals with an exalted Saturn possess strong work ethics, perseverance, and a sense of responsibility. They excel in careers that require long-term planning, structure, and attention to detail. When debilitated in Aries, Saturn can manifest as self-doubt, lack of confidence, and a tendency for detachment. When Saturn is in Libra, its energy is thought to be disciplined, structured, and balanced. Very true, and you want that in Saturn. Individuals with this placement may exhibit qualities such as fairness, diplomacy, and a strong sense of justice. On the other hand, Saturn is debilitated in the sign of Aries, indicating a weakened state. When Saturn is in Aries, its energies may manifest in a more challenging way, leading to potential difficulties in asserting oneself, initiating new projects, or expressing individuality. The debilitated Saturn may bring about feelings of impatience, restlessness, and limitations. Now let's go to astrology.com. All right, Saturn and Aries. In impulsive Aries, Saturn makes us all risk takers. Let's read and see what that says. This placement is keen to start projects and dive in head first. There is a strong sense of self-discovery here and a desire to define and invent an independent identity. While you may walk away with some bumps and bruises, this placement helps cultivate the courage to take risks and make mistakes that will ultimately help you grow. Aries is also a very physical sign, so Saturn in the sign of the Ram is a great time to start a new workout routine or physical health regimen. Saturn in Aries is significant in meaning. Okay. Element and modality, fire and cardinal. I told you the fire signs are all about action, and cardinals are the kickoff agents. They are the strategic thinkers. They're the ones that say this is they set direction. The cardinal signs all set direction. They set the course. Okay. My way to highway tends to be cardinal energy. Positive keywords for Saturn and Aries: concentrated, patient, persevering, restraint, and tentative. Negative keywords: conflicted, insolent, repressed, tense, and unfocused. Their personality: Saturn in Aries is the Lone Ranger. Wherever they go, whatever they do it their way. However, this individualistic urge isn't necessarily born of ego. In fact, Saturn in this sign tends toward self-deprecation. Instead, they see asking for assistance as an indication of weakness or simply a bother to other people. Almost sounds like Capricorn. Y'all hear me say that a lot. Capricorn and Aries are a lot alike. Capricorn is a grounded Aries. Aries is an impulsive Capricorn. They both are very similar. These individuals have an overwhelming need to be perceived as strong and capable. Thus, it can seem like a great bit of cosmic irony that admitting defeat or difficulty takes a particularly strong spirit. I kicked my light, y'all. Sorry. As a result, gaining confidence is one of Saturn's lessons for these individuals. Like all of Saturn's lessons, they can help their students on the path to true success once mastered. Here's some positive traits. Saturn in Aries tempers Aries' natural impulsiveness to create a more cautious individual. Depending on other factors, recklessness can be foreign concepts for those with this placement, as their inner doubt forces them to consider and reconsider again their actions. See where that mama energy comes in? A little restraint can be positive, especially for Aries Saturn natives whose charts are brimming with fire energy. Still, they retain some of their Martian intensity in their undertakings and can dominate their chosen industries, provided they overcome their deep-seated fears. Paired with a logical approach, Aries Saturn can be very persuasive when the situation calls for it. And on the negative side, Aries' natural trouble with authority is magnified in Saturn. In their younger years, Those with their Saturn in Aries may struggle with self-doubt. The result is an insecure yet unyielding coworker. It's no wonder that some Aries Saturns prefer non-traditional career paths, such as freelancing. Furthermore, Saturn in Aries may not see eye to eye with authority figures, preferring the beat of their own drums to commands from above. That's 7th house Aries too, y'all. With the planet in the sign of its fall, those with this placement struggle with concepts typically associated with Saturn, such as authority, ego, and decision making. The superheated fire of Mars, Aries' ruling planet, appears dimmed with Saturn in Aries. Now, let me give my thoughts on Saturn in Aries, why it's considered a debilitation, and why I think that's a superpower. Saturn in Aries, they pretty much explained it there. Aries is that impulsive ram. It wants to go. It just wants to get out there and go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Saturn is the ruler of time. So Saturn is going, Saturn, when it's in the sign of Aries, it's going to slow things down. We're not rushing out there. We're not rushing down there. Saturn ain't nobody rushing Saturn. Saturn is truly the planet of divine timing, whether you realize that or not. Saturn is all about divine timing. So in that sign of Aries, a person born with Saturn in Aries is someone who is being forced to take their time and be considerate. Am I saying be considerate of others? Not necessarily. Be considerate of the whole board. When you're a leader, you got to see the entire battlefield. You got to see it, and you got to make sure you're taking the right approach. So it's almost like Saturn in the sign of Aries is almost teaching itself how to be more Libran, more like a Libra. Remember, Saturn in Libra is exalted. So, but here's where it's a superpower. Aries energy is about shoot first, ask questions later. When Saturn is in the sign of Aries, it is teaching that individual to how to control and contain that impulsive warrior that's in them. It's actually making them a better warrior. Y'all remember the video series I did a year ago talking about Saturn and what those different placements are about. Okay, and how Saturn, depending on the house you have Saturn in, it a lot of times what happens is Saturn restricts you. So the so-called devil, the lower vibrational nature of the universe and even of ourselves, wants to give you a quick solution to unlocking that Saturn house restriction. So it's like whatever house you have Saturn sitting in, you're restricted in that area of life. That is the cookie that you cannot have till you do your homework and your chores. So the way to break that is to operate in the energy of that Saturn sign. When I say break it, I mean complete your chores so that you can unlock what's locked up in that house. Okay. For example, if you've got a Saturn in the sign of in the Saturn in the third house, you may be restricted in your ability to express yourself. You may be restricted in your ability to learn, your education, that sort of thing, whatever, how you communicate. And depending on the sign, you have to operate in that energy to free up that house restriction. So with that Saturn in Aries, depending on what house it's in, you have to operate in that Aries energy, but you've got to do it in a way. Saturn in Aries, in a nutshell, teaches you how to be patient. So that you might still be waiting for the punchline, be like, Matt, well, how you still haven't explained how that's a superpower. A warrior who has the ability to crush his opponent is that much more a lethal warrior when they've learned how to exercise patience. Remember, impulsivity can get you messed up. Sometimes you want to be impulsive. Sometimes you want to act on instinct. There are times to do it, but then there are times to be a little bit more exercise cautious reserve. That is where that Libra energy comes in. Remember, every Aries on the tail side is a Libra. So that Aries Saturn is that is not a debilitation. It is a superpower, because what it forces you to do is it forces you to tap into those 7 principles of Mayat that you have hidden deep within you. Saturn in Aries teaches you patience. It's a superpower. And again, when you understand the continuum of the soul and that It's not a one soul, one lifetime deal, and then you spend eternity in heaven or hell. When you understand the so-called time-space continuum, if you're born with a Saturn in Aries, it is preparing you for something great that you have to do in your next lifetime. So it technically is not a debilitation, though it may seem like one. It is another one that probably is closer to the true sense of the word debilitation than some of the other placements. But technically, it's a superpower because it teaches you to be a wise warrior. It teaches you to be balanced, a balanced warrior. It teaches you to be multi-disciplined, if you want to look at it from the standpoint of combat. Hey, you know what? You can't just run out. It doesn't matter that you're good. It doesn't matter that you're good with a sword. The occasion may call for you to either wait for nightfall and learn how to move stealthily if all you're going to use is a sword, or it may force you to learn other disciplines. You may need to learn the spear. You may need to learn the use of the bow. You may need to learn a rifle. You may need to learn the use of projectiles. Be patient. We're trying to build you into a better warrior. So when you have come through that second Saturn return as a Saturn in Aries, you are a refined warrior. You are a true multidisciplined general in every sense of the word. So the benefits are delayed. The revelation of the superpower is delayed. But once you have come through and unlocked that house, you are potentially more powerful than that so-called exalted Saturn in Libra. So it's a superpower. Saturn in Aries is a superpower, but it's delayed. But that's the nature of Saturn. So that's all I got. Albert Einstein, Saturn and Aries, Truth Seeker. You got the gems tonight, Truth Seeker. Thank you for adding these. Thank you for adding these. So that's all I got, family. That's all I got. That's all of them. Let me in summary again, just run through them really quick. Sun in Libra is a superpower. Why? Because though it's considered debilitated, remember the scripture said, let me read it one more time on the way out. Let's do that. Let's read this one more time on the way out. 2 Corinthians 12:7. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, exalted positions versus debilitated positions. It's all right here. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a debilitated astrological placement. The messenger of Satan to buffet me. Let's look that word up for those of you that may not understand it. Buffet is, in the verb sense, it means to strike repeatedly and violently. Better, the rough seas buffeted the coast. To knock someone over or off course. Or let me bring this up here really quick so you guys see it on the screen. Buffet, we're talking about the verb sense. Okay, especially of wind or waves. Strike repeatedly and violently. Batter. Okay, batter is to buffet. Knock someone over or off course. Of misfortunes or difficulties. Afflict or harm someone repeatedly over a long period. Okay, they were buffeted by a major recession. So let's go back now and read that and apply it. Verse 7 again, 2 Corinthians 12:7. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given this. So unless I get high-minded and big-headed, okay, it might be tapping you into who you could have been in a past life for you to come here with these so-called debilitations, which I call superpowers. Again, they wouldn't be given to you if you couldn't handle them. You're special. You're chosen if you have these so-called debilitated placements. You have the capability to do things that not others can do. Okay? So keep that in mind. Also, remember this in this time-space continuum, a lot of times with these so-called, for example, the moon in Scorpio, where it says, well, you're mistrusting whatever, or this, that, or the third, you may have other placements that make that placement a requirement. All of what I found in my 4 years of reviewing natal charts and helping people discover themselves, what I found is that these placements feed into each other, including the numerology. It is an intricate design. It just really makes you appreciate how the creator created you. because none of these placements are random. They all feed into each other. And you're like, this is why I have this placement over here. This placement supports that placement, and that placement supports my soul destiny, and this, that, and the third. I got these things I came here to the earth to do. I couldn't do them reliably if I did not have this placement. So before you call somebody's placement debilitated as an astrologer, maybe you should look at their other placements, because it'll tell the story of who they are and what they came here to do, and why that so-called debilitated placement was necessary with regards to their destiny. All right, let me read this one more time. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, to buffet me, beat me up, lest I should be exalted above measure. That sounds like it's a negative thing, but if you understand what you're looking at, it ends up being a positive. To buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. When you look at the messenger of Satan to buffet me, what that can actually be translated to is what does a messenger do? A messenger carries a message, carries a thought, carries words. Satan can also be equated to low vibrational energy. Okay, so this messenger of this low vibrational frequency range to beat me up, lest I should be exalted above measure. Okay, I got another passage I'm gonna read after that. I should cross over to it now. Hang on one second. Let's do this. Hang on a second. Let's do this. I'm going to come back to this. Give you a cross reference. Okay, let's read Matthew 23 and 10 through 12. Neither be you called masters, for one is your master. For one is your master, even Christ. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that humble himself shall be exalted. That also plays into these astrological placements. Okay, he that's greatest among you shall be your servant. When you have these exalted placements, these exalted planetary placements, that puts you in the position of the servant. But when you have these so-called debilitated placements, it sets you up to be exalted. It's exactly what I just said. If you can overcome those challenges and stay in that high vibrational frequency range, you actually are exalted in your capabilities, even more so above perhaps that person that was said to be exalted. But what does that do? It puts you right back in the level of service. So you come from being debilitated to mastering that energy and then becoming exalted, because once you're exalted, you're better able to serve. He that is greatest among you, the exalted placements, shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased or brought down. And he that humble himself shall be exalted. Think about that. Think about that Mars and Cancer, for example. I'm sorry. Think about well, let's talk about Mars and Capricorn. That's an exalted placement, right? That is a servant. Why? Because Mars wants action and Capricorn is going to finish. It is gifted with endurance. So when you need action done, you want somebody who can get through and see it all the way through the end. That's a servant. The Jupiter in Cancer. What did I say? Jupiter wants to bless you, expand you, give you stuff with a blessing, just give you bestow these blessings upon you. That Cancer energy wants to take that and home build with it and wants to nurture with it. So by Jupiter and Cancer being exalted, they become the servants. But guess what? That Jupiter and Capricorn, it eventually will be set up to be a servant. But it's like, hey, you know what? Don't give me anything. Let me earn it. I'll go out there and work hard for it. All of this stuff plays back in together, and these themes can be found in Scripture. It can be found in Scripture. Think about that moon in Scorpio versus moon in Taurus. That moon in Taurus is settled already in their emotions. So guess what? He that is greatest among you shall be your servant. The moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus. So guess what that allows that Taurus to do? that allows that Taurus to be the grounding energy emotionally for whatever group, family, whatever dynamic they're placed into. On the flip, you got that moon in Scorpio that's considered to be a debilitated position. Guess what? Through learning how to control their emotions, the moon in Scorpio becomes exalted. And then it is able to serve a dynamic that even the Mars and Taurus cannot reach. That Mars and Taurus can reach the masses, but they can't reach those troubled ones. The troubled ones sometimes are the ones that are fought against the hardest because they have the real gifts that can strike blows to the dark side. So that moon in Scorpio is able to transform themselves and then help that troubled soul to transform in ways that moon in Taurus could. Y'all, it's right here. This book is beautiful once you understand what it is. Once you understand that this is not a religious book, the beauty of it increases 100-fold. All right, let's go back. 2 Corinthians 12:7 through 10. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, that the messenger of Satan should beat me up, lest I should be exalted above measure, lest I should be high-minded. For this thing I besought the Lord, the power, the Most High, 3 times, that it might depart from me. Oh, I don't want this moon in Scorpio. It's too intense. I don't want this Jupiter Capricorn. I'm tired of working hard for everything. I don't want this Mars in Cancer, man. I don't want to fight. I just want to stay home and take care of my family. I don't want to have to use my empathy to. For this thing I besought the Lord 3 times, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. So where you look weak, that's where I can work through you in great ways, in a great fashion. My strength is made perfect in your weakness. My strength. When it's an exalted position, then it's your strength. But when it's considered a weakness or a debilitated position, it becomes his strength. Now, remember, the kingdom of God is within you. So that debilitated position comes out of you when you're in those difficult placements. He says, my strength. Whose strength? The Most High. Where's the kingdom of God? Let's find out. I'm getting ready to wrap up, fam. Luke 17:20 through 21. And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation, meaning you can't see it with your eyes. You see it when you close your eyes, but you can't see with your eyes open. Neither shall they say, look here or look there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. So when you have this so-called debilitated position, he says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. When you're exalted and you're gifted with these gifted placements, these exalted placements, there's strength that's given to you, that exterior strength, you're already operating in it. But when it looks like a weakness, that weakness pulls something out of you that you did not know was there. That's where it says, that's what it means when it says, my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities. Once you know that, you can take pride in, you can glory in the fact that you have what the world calls a debilitated placement, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. The power of that exalted state of consciousness may rest upon me. The power that comes with reaching that highest state of enlightenment may rest upon me. That only comes through infirmity. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, so-called weaknesses, so-called debilitated placements, in reproaches, people talking crap about me, in necessities, things I need. A necessity is something you don't have something. So that's lack. In persecutions, people trying me all the time, people beating me up, people beating me down with their words. In distresses, for Christ's sake, for when I am weak, then I'm strong. That's all I got, family. If you got a debilitated placement, that's talking to you. That's talking to you. That is talking to you. That is talking to you, fam. That Matthew, what was that? Matthew 23. Let me go there real quick. It's talking to you. This is why from this day forward, don't ever call your placement debilitated. It's not. It's not debilitated. Matthew 23:10. Neither be you called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. That elevated state of consciousness. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. If you came here with an exalted placement, you came here to serve. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be brought down. So don't big up yourself. Don't say thank you. Say thank you. And he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. All right? It's right there. That's Matthew 23:10 through 12. Family, that's all I got. Let me read some comments and I don't have any. Albert Einstein was the last one. So thank y'all for being here tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you guys that was here on this live. There will be timestamps at the I might work on them tonight, y'all. Depends on. Sometimes I'll go back and watch the video the same night, right after I get off live. But it may be, like I said, it may be by tomorrow evening that the timestamps are in there. But I will put timestamps in there so that you can click through and look at your natal chart and see if you got what's listed as a debilitated placement and see why it's not debilitated at all, but a superpower. Okay. Fanny, thank you for hanging around. Thank you for staying for the whole video. So I hope you guys got something out of this, and share it with your family members that may have so-called debilitated placements. You do not have a debilitated placement. You have a superpower, and you're special because you were chosen to have that placement. What's considered a weakness, not everybody can handle that. Some people would lose their mind with some of these placements. But the fact that you have it means that you have the ability to overcome in ways that those with exalted placements cannot. Okay. Thank you, Jojo. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here tonight. So that's all I got. If you haven't done so, on your way out, please tap that like button for me. And if you're new to my channel and you like being entertained, educated, uplifted, inspired, hit that like button and be sure to set that notification bell to all. Thank you, Capri 10. Thank you. Be sure to set that notification bell to all so that you'll be notified when I upload new content or go live. Last but not least, family, I say it all the time. I'm going to say it again. Tell somebody you love them and mean it. Let them know that you love them and mean it. How do you mean it? You have to show it. Love is a verb. It's an action word, okay? It's a noun as well, the state of being that everybody wants to experience. But when we focus on the verb form of love, the noun form somehow magically just always takes care of itself. That's all I got, family. Love you guys. Peace.